Let's get started.
Here we go. Now let's get it all in perspective. We did it like that, and now we do it like this.
Do not attempt to adjust your dial. I'm transmitting live. Yo,
Let's get down to business.
Now let's get it all in perspective. We did it like that, and now we do it like this.
All right.
for the underground world, every street and borough.
You may learn something.
You are now listening to the Joe Rogan Experience with Chico, Simon, Kumar, and your host, Matt Floyd.
Welcome to the Joe Rogan Experience. My name is Matt Floyd, joined as always by Kumar
Welcome to the party.
and Simon.
Hello, friends.
What we do here is very simple. The three of us have listened to every episode of the Joe Rogan Experience this week. You're going to rate each episode as well as the week on a scale of 1 to 5 Jamie Vernons. We're then going to talk about each guest, the talking points, give our opinions, this, that, and the next. But first, Kumar, do we have any new patrons to go over?
No, we don't. Like and subscribe. Hit that smash button and also leave a comment.
It's interesting.
and
We
5-star
didn't do any
review.
promos for December. Like, we didn't do, like...
You mean November? We could do a promo for December.
Or for November, rather.
December domination. Yeah, we gave them a break. But thank you so much for everyone who supported the podcast, past, future, and now. It means so much to me.
Present. Don't forget present.
I meant that by saying now.
Past, future, now.
Kumar,
Join the Patreon as soon as you can.
how was your week, sir?
Did I tell you guys about my roommate ordered food and some guy grabbed it off the porch?
Oh, that's a desperate maneuver.
Is that wild?
Yeah.
So we know it because we have the ring.
Yes, you can see the guy.
We saw the whole thing go down. A guy contactless delivery.
Yeah.
So he just walks up, puts it on the porch, and then this well-to-do guy. It wasn't like
Just came and
on
grabbed
a
two
bike.
burritos.
Bikes up, looks, runs up the porch, grabs it, and takes off.
I mean, that would be a pretty good scam. Like, I start driving Uber Eats, and you just bike behind me on my route. You're in with me. You don't even need a bike. You just get out like a half a block before you watch, you grab. That's like an endless cycle of free money.
Kumar, is
You
that
beat me to the punch. I mean, that's all I could.
is that the
surmise.
modern day like cooling pie on the windowsill?
So he's like, "Oh, this guy ordered this great meal. I'll be there in 5 minutes." Anyways, they get the food, the skip the dishes or whatever, refund some of the
reimburse
money.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, for like Amazon, let's say, where
Yeah.
they're dropping packages off, Amazon is just going to cover that shit. There's really like no,
I think there's certain ones.
It's a free
it depends
market
on how,
economy.
you would just be robbing Amazon.
I think it depends how expensive it is. I think there's certain ones where Amazon requires a signature or someone to pick.
Okay, no, but as
Yeah,
long as they
yeah,
don't
I agree,
require
yeah.
a signature.
I also did a show at the Rito Carlton Raceway, soon to be
Oh
the
yes,
Hard
how
Rock.
was that? My sister works there.
I hope once it's the Hard Rock, it's called the Hard Rock, formerly the Rito Carlton Raceway,
I think it's the Rito Carlton Raceway Hard Rock.
soon to be Hard Rock.
I think it's. I hate to do this. Isn't it the Hard Rock at the Rito Carlton?
Either
Raceway?
way, the Rito Carlton Raceway has to stay in the name because that's how they were able to like. They already have their. I don't know. There was some
gambling
reason
license.
why
Not-
it had to stay in the name.
It's going to be the Hard Rock, though. I think it's licensing, the AGO and all that.
That's what I'm
is
saying,
what it is.
Well, that's what Simon's saying. It's going to be a Hard Rock hotel, and then the casino section is still technically going to be considered.
Something like that. I'm not sure exactly what it is.
Well,
but
because a gambling license in Ontario is not easy to get. I'm sure the Rito Carlton Raceway has an existing one, and that getting a new one would be a nightmare.
it's kind of like the cabs. You know how it's so hard to
Yep.
get. So you'll have like Abdul brought to you by Mohammed,
Yep.
and then they just share the cab.
So,
was
have you
one
been?
of my best.
Have you been there? Have you guys ever been to
This
there?
guy doesn't even understand
work there.
fucking comedy.
There's a big room upstairs.
Yeah.
With like it almost looks like a barn cut out. And there's a big bar. That's where the comedy show was, and there was like 80 people in a room that holds like 500. It's just I couldn't hear them laugh. Maybe they were laughing, but it was just. And the other thing is, casinos are depressing. Like no one wants to laugh at a casino; they want their money back.
yeah, it's
And
true.
you can't joke about how sad it is. The casino doesn't want you reminding
No.
people of you're at a casino, we're all a bunch of losers. Like
I don't
want to
be that guy that dissects people's comedy. You know what I mean? That's not me.
Okay.
But lots of comedy shows happen in Vegas, buddy. It's like
I know, but I bet it's an unwritten rule that you don't talk about how shitty.
I think it's all free comps, right? So most people.
No, it depends. Like I saw Nate Bargatze at the Win. It was not free.
And
Not for you.
But did he
Were you
shit on
staying at the Wynn?
casinos?
Yeah, I was staying at the
Did
Win.
he
yeah.
shit on casinos and
No,
gambling?
no.
And then when you go to the floor, like it's the lesser of, for people who are listening outside of Ottawa, there's 2 casinos, and it is the lesser of the other one's in Quebec, but it's close enough. But you feel a little bit better about yourself at that casino, I'd say.
Or do you just mean the amount of tables, or because I think Lac Limi is the worst casino on earth.
I feel
I
like
think
you
Simon
haven't
would agree
been to
with
a
me
lot
too.
of casinos. Is that
Well, we're not talking about all casinos. We're talking about of the 2 casinos, and there's plenty of one-armed bandits and
well?
whatnot.
Listen,
and
sorry, go ahead.
they do have live tables. They do have live roulette. They have all that.
Yeah, they have poker too.
Yeah, it felt like a casino to me. I mean, the LeMay is better, I'd say, but both of them probably are shitty casinos. Akwesasne, that's worse.
No, I truly like. I think I say it for a different reason. I get what you're saying. Akwesasne's garbage. Like most of the Ontario
People.
Come on, most Ontario casinos are pretty ghetto in general. But I think Simon and I don't know. I also look at casinos like Vegas. Vegas is like the pinnacle of casinos, and everything outside of Vegas just stinks.
Yeah, it's definitely set the bar, but I bet there's a shitty casino in Las Vegas.
There's so many shitty casinos in Las Vegas.
All casinos are shitty almost. I'd like to go to Monte Carlo or like
You wouldn't be allowed. Nor would I.
Monaco. That's what you're talking about.
a casino like they had in Casino Royale.
Yeah.
That's where it is.
Monaco. Fucking asshole. He asks a question and then doesn't want to hear an answer.
I think he
just
stated it
interrupts
there.
you.
Peanut
Shut
butter
the
and
fuck up.
That was my week.
Simon, how was your week?
Okay, up until 10 seconds ago.
Do you think Lac Limi's a good casino?
Thank you, Matt, for asking. It's not. It's a terrible casino. The Hard Rock is transferring from a dirt casino, like the equivalent of a dirt mall, to a real casino. Once it's done, it'll be 100 times nice. They didn't even they only had slots at the Rito Carlton Raceway.
Soon to be Hard Rock.
Soon to be Hard Rock.
Yeah, they only had slots for a very long time.
So-
It was just before the pandemic, apparently, all those.
Yeah. No, it was a few years before the
games came in or
pandemic. They got
something.
like poker in there because I remember going out there to play poker.
I only remember that place because they had a crazy buffet. The roast beef and lobster.
Yep.
And that's the only time I ever went out there. And last time I went out there was nothing, and now it's houses everywhere.
Do you have more you want to say about the casinos? Because
He's really pushing it.
taking
He's
up
trying to get some
two
comps.
people's weeks now talking about casinos.
I feel like Kamar, when he left, went up to like a pit boss and was like, "Hey, listen, I have a podcast. Like, you think if I drop some Hard Rock talk, you guys could call me a $50 chip or something?" Simon, how was your
Caught
week?
me a towel. My week was okay, thanks, Matt. I bought a new TV.
Really?
Finally,
What kind?
yeah, it's been a long time. We've had a Hisense. You know Hisense?
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, terrible.
you had a
I was hoping
piece
you'd
of
say
shit.
no, and I would be like touche. You know,
Might be the worst TV you could buy.
it's terrible. It's terrible.
Isn't it Roku?
It's a Roku, yeah, a Hisense Roku. But really, I swear to you, it's probably 7 years old.
I believe it.
Like it's pretty old. So we finally just caved and bought a new TV. I bought a TCI, which is a new company that came out, but it's a nice TV. It's not bad.
I feel like you said the
it's a
same thing when the Hisense entered
No,
your.
it's a Samsung without the name. You know what I'm saying?
Is that what the salesperson
No,
told
no,
you?
no.
That's exactly what I thought.
I did my research.
Okay.
It's the Cadillac of TV.
How much did you save not buying a Samsung? Why don't you let us
I
know that?
saved about $200.
I'm sorry, what?
$200.
Do you want to, funniest man in Ottawa, do you want to take this one?
What's the problem?
I don't want to be rude. I want
That
to
was the
finish.
difference between this TV I bought. The reason I went with this one is because Samsung apparently has like better components, let's say. This one had the better operating system. We were more concerned with the operating system than with the fact that it was a super powerful TV. But it's a nice TV. It's a QLED.
yeah.
It's got like a bunch of bells and whistles that you wouldn't have gotten with the Samsung unless you bought a higher up model, but you get them with the TCI because it doesn't have the name going with it. It doesn't matter. That's not the point of this story, man. The point of this story is that shit looks so weird.
You have true motion on. Turn true motion off.
Sorry, what is it?
I don't know. Listen, this is the thing. I don't.
True motion.
I have a bunch of Samsung televisions on a Samsung
It's not
TV.
a Samsung. It's a TCI. Sorry, go ahead.
The point is this: you're going to go home and you're going to Google TCI
True
equivalent to True Motion, and it will send you to the place where you will turn that off, and it will get rid of that handy cam. That's what you're talking about?
Well, that, and it's like, here's my theory on it, okay? When you watch reality TV,
Yeah.
it's incredible because it's like you're seeing wrinkles in people's faces.
Yeah.
It's really good. But when you're watching, like I tried watching, I finally have Apple TV again.
Yeah.
Because it's in the operating system.
Yeah.
So I watched that
Monarch.
Monarch.
Yeah.
It is insane how, like, the person in the front view looks incredible. Everything in behind looks like it's on a green screen. Remember, I would come over here and I'd say, it looks so fake. And you were like, no, you just get used to it. Like, I don't know if that's just the way TV is now. And I'm so used to watching it on old fashioned TV that it allows
But the weird
for
thing,
some,
Simon, the
like,
weird thing about you saying that is that like they don't even use green screen anymore. The big productions have a massive wall of LED lights that projects everything they want to show. It's just, hold on. Think of the Sphere in Vegas. Lob the top off and make it like...
Yeah. It doesn't matter though. Like what I'm saying is, I have to figure it out. I don't know if this is just
the true
like
motion will solve
what
it for
people
you.
are used to now, and they've just accepted that this is the way movies look. Or
I love that this guy goes from a 480p television to QLED, and now he's like, "What's going on here?"
well, it's crazy. Anyways,
all I'm
I
hearing
haven't
is-
been loving it,
I got a new TV. I don't like it.
but the sports are like incredible. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah,
It's just movies aren't working out.
It's just certain things. I haven't even watched a lot of movies. This was a television show, but it just looks so. It's like the
you're forgetting it's a television show on Apple.
the
They have-
CGI and the people weren't syncing properly, you know?
35 inches? Is 35 inches? 35-inch TV?
35 inch. Yeah, it's a 35 inch.
How big is it?
It's a 50 inch.
Oh, you didn't go for the 55?
Hold on, you
We
got
ha-
a 50-inch. What was the name of it?
TCI, I think. TIC.
You aren't doing your people any favors. You know
Why?
that? Why?
It's a great TV. Don't worry about
Why do you
the
know a
TV.
guy?
No, I just like Simon.
Don't
Listen,
worry
I don't
about
look
the
at I don't look at Simon as someone who is like financially strapped. I'm
No,
not saying.
I
Hold on.
definitely am.
I'm not saying I look at you like you're rich either. I just
Definitely not.
You think you should have spent the $200?
I think he should have spent $500 more and gotten a 70-inch
70-inch.
Samsung.
No.
and really lived
it's
life.
not about the. We only had a certain of distance between two windows. Otherwise, the TV would be like sticking out on each side.
Do you live in the- do you live in the iron- the Flatiron building?
Fit. That's
Sorry?
Do you live in the Flatiron building? There's two windows in between.
We have a lot of windows on the side. And don't worry about it. My house is very small and we only had a certain
50
amount of
inches, a
room.
reasonable size
fine.
TV.
And it's so much bigger than the TV I had. I feel like I've jumped into the future.
Did the
Wait a minute.
did
How
the-
big was your old TV?
35
What is
inches.
happening here? Are you
What's
fucking...
two sizes under the 50?
It sounds like the 35 that Kamar's talking
well,
about.
that's
But
what I had. A Hisense 35-inch TV.
did it find a new home or did you just
It
throw
moved
it out?
up into my room.
hold on, this is crazy.
Double upgrade.
This is insane. I left a 55-inch Samsung television in
Yeah.
the old studio.
It's still there.
No, it's not. It's in Mary's Airbnb, you dipshit. But you could have taken a 55-inch Samsung television.
Wouldn't fit.
Yeah, I could have, I guess. I don't know. We had our high sense.
And
It
he
was
was-
all I needed. It
he was-
wasn't a big deal. You know what I mean?
Okay. My week was fine. I don't even know what to say right now.
I forgot to mention, when I went to the casino, I had to sign a form that said I wouldn't gamble or drink.
You're fucking done, man.
No, wait, hold
we
on.
didn't care about your casino talk when you were talking about
Wait,
it.
no,
And we
that's-
certainly don't care.
my
During
God. No, this
your
is
week,
interesting.
you can talk
This is-
about the
we're on my
casino.
week
Oh,
now.
are
You were
we? Because
done,
I
yeah.
wasn't done.
No, I have a question. So because you were working as a comedian, you had to sign a waiver saying you wouldn't drink or gamble?
Yeah.
That's so fucking
It made
weird.
me feel special.
So like because they consider you a casino employee for the evening?
I don't think that was it. I think
No.
they knew Kamar.
Oh,
And they were just
he's
like,
the only one
get
that-
this
yeah.
motherfucker to sign a disclosure.
No, the second I got off stage, they're like, you can drink and gamble now.
Interesting.
They're like, go drink and gamble.
Actually, please drink
Here's
and
the money
gamble.
here's the money for
Yeah.
your performance.
Do you
Please
want to
go
be
turn
paid
that
in
into
chips
chips.
or in Coke?
Chips. No, apparently they have bands there, and the bands would have sets, and they'd do one set, and then they'd go get fucked up.
That's
and lose all
incredible.
their money.
Oh, bands.
So
with a D.
bands, musical
You're still not
performers,
saying the D.
bands.
Bands.
Anyways, yeah, that's my week.
It wasn't your fucking week. Maddie, how was your week?
Oh shit. I'm shit. It's
Shit la
fine.
merde.
Kamar, you want to go over the guest list so we can do what we do here?
Motion.
I'd love to, man. Thanks for asking.
Oh, you sure you don't want to talk about the casino a little more?
The week started off with big excitement for Simon. 2065, David Grusch.
Yeah, don't meet your heroes, you know?
Followed by 2066, funny Latino man, Ralph Barbosa.
Fun Latino man. What?
Barbosa. Then we had 2067, politically
Go on.
adept Dave Smith.
Sure.
And then we had a surprise drop on Saturday, talking about everything we loved, like hunting. 2068, Cameron Haynes.
Hunting adept. Cameron Haynes.
I'll tell you, if I ever try to sound smart, I end up sounding stupid.
I'll tell you.
Yeah, we didn't need that Cam Haynes. That really brought the week down for sure.
It
Big
happens
time.
all the time, though, where I have all my listening done, notes taken, prepared, and then that happens and it ruins my day.
It's funny because I got what I wanted. I said last week I would like Joe to bring someone on. I even said I was like, it could be Douglas Murray. I just wanted someone to come in. If he was going to have all this Israel-Palestine talk, bring someone who wasn't part of the war machine in. So I got that. I was happy about that. And then he brings in Cam Haynes, and I'm like, oh, I forgot that any of this week was even decent. I'll still give it a 3.
I will echo your 3.
I will give it a...
He's crunching the numbers. He's got the abacus out. He's moving.
I'm just going to go off the cuff here.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with a 3.
We have an agreement. Those are few and far between lately. All right, Kamar, you want to? We didn't preemptively decide how we were going to do this shit, did we?
Yeah, this is sort of like how the sausage is made.
Yeah. I don't care what order we do it in.
Well,
Cam Haynes can't have more than 5 minutes. I'm
Should
sorry.
be Cam Haynes and David Grusch, and then
Dave Smith and
Dave Smith and Barbosa.
love it.
So we're going to start with the worst one. Or we want to start
2060
with Grusch
Start with Grusch and then do
and then give
Cam
5 minutes of
Haynes.
Cam Haynes to,
Yeah, sure.
to go into the break.
Sure, perfect. Love it.
Because I'm telling you, that Cam Haynes, like, it
Oh,
was,
no.
it was all hunting.
Trust me, I listened to it today.
Yeah, it was
It's fresh
all
in my mind.
It was all stem cells.
UFC. There was a lot of UFC.
Sorry, yes, stem cells, UFC, then just hunting.
There was a weird
There's-
tone throughout it. Are we?
Let's just do Cam Haynes. I don't give a fuck.
Just do Cam Haynes.
Get
fine.
okay, there we go.
There's a
Everyone's-
tiny bit of UFO in Cam Haynes. Or Bigfoot? No, UFO.
No, the Grusch, because he starts by telling him like Grusch was in here.
No, it's the Cam Haynes
He'll get there.
because they were talking about hunt. Okay, 2068 Cameron Haynes.
We're going backwards here, pretty much. But
Just, it's totally unnecessary podcast.
yeah, I mean the fact that he didn't want to be there.
He didn't want to be there. We didn't want to be there.
I told you guys that was my point, and you just took it. Okay.
Your point was that Cam Haines was an unnecessary podcast.
I said he said he didn't want to be there, but I'm going to say in the podcast.
I don't remember him ever saying.
And you guys both just said it.
I don't recall him saying that. Do you recall him saying that?
No, but I believe it.
No, I don't.
Well, I mean, I've never heard you say preemptively, I'm going to say this in the podcast.
No, this was the first time I did it.
Okay.
You
I thought it
got to
was
work
funny.
with me here because he definitely said it.
Sorry.
You guys are gaslighting me now.
We're
Gaslighting you.
you.
Yeah.
Crypto, NFTs, one of the great bubbles of our time. With the aftermath, like the Binance guy has to pay like 4.3 billion.
That had nothing to do with NFTs. That's crypto. You can separate the two of them if you'd like.
The NFT has more credible. No,
Hold on, let me ask you a
they're
question.
intertwined though.
Your argument is that Binance had to pay $4 billion. How much in fines have like JP Morgan?
Oh, the same. Actually, that's another point that legitimizes it.
You're only legit once you start being fined for robbing people.
We've had this same conversation like a whole many load full of times, but NFTs were a solid idea, but there were so many scams going on that it just legitimized a whole sector that probably never comes back. Are you okay there?
What is it? What is it with our obsession with the realness of art? That was one of the points Joe made. Like, I can just take a screenshot. It is, but this is the original. In regards to painting, they talk about the painting.
Well, it's a piece of history. It's the same reason you would buy anything old, right? That has no like real purpose today, but sentimentally is worth a shit ton. Mm-hmm. But that's why the NFTs just on some level didn't make any sense, because you're getting a JPEG and I can just download that same image, use it as my screensaver, and theoretically have the same thing you do, not in value, but in aesthetic value.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, Kamar, you can go back to 1999 and you can see news reports about the internet that would make you believe when you saw it that the internet was a passing fad and wasn't going to be anything. I think with NFTs, like the way that they were done in the first iteration were largely a scam. But I think that, like, look at the art world. You could just use NFTs where let's say Simon becomes a famous artist overnight. Okay. He starts selling all his art. He could simply validate all of them on the blockchain, as in you still buy my art, but you now have this token that says this is officially a Simon Anisman. And without this, the work of art is worth substantially less.
So almost the most important thing of NFTs and crypto is the blockchain.
Well, of course. Yeah. The blockchain is,
thing.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it's just a JPEG.
I feel that. I just wonder if there's any biological advantage to beholding stuff, or like
what Jamie was saying, like if there was, of course, the way he said it was kind of dumb. Like if they had NFTs in Da Vinci's day, we wouldn't have this problem. But it was more like if they even just had photos, like that Monday, if there was a photo of Da Vinci beside it, like that would be considered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see what you're saying. But it's a photo, today could be
altered,
yeah. Whereas the blockchain theoretically can't, although I'm not even certain of that anymore. Like they tell us that non-fungible NFTs, these can't, who knows? Like, I don't understand how any of it works. The whole thing could be a scam, which it was. So,
well, not the whole, I mean, listen, scam is a weird thing. Like we've done this before where, like, if you buy a basketball card tomorrow and the basketball card market dips out and you lose your whole investment.
That's not a scam. That's just bad luck for you.
Yeah, but it's okay.
The scams that they were doing.
No, there were scams. You're, what I'm saying though is like Joe hated the Bored Ape Yacht Club, right? Like, and he's fine hating that. That's fine. I thought it was stupid too.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that like that was a scam.
No, that one wasn't a scam. That was just people getting caught up in hype.
Yeah, and people lost a lot of money on that. Uh-huh. Like Seth Green lost a fucking he lost a show, right?
Yeah.
Like the Cyberpunks is another one where like, how are you selling an 8-bit thing for
I mean, that's
$400,000?
to me, that's just people who are stupid, though. You know what I mean? Like, if you're buying art and that art has no like aesthetically interesting whatever,
But
who's
Simon,
going to want to rebuy it from you if it holds no value except as like a NFT?
fair enough. But in 2000, like let's say me and you met in 2003. If in 2003 when I met you, I said, Simon, I just spent $25,000 on Pokemon cards, you would have been like, you're a fucking moron. You just got fleeced. Flash forward 15 years later, I'm a multi-millionaire.
Right. Yeah.
Time heals all wounds, and monetarily especially,
Cash.
we don't know yet.
Look, I think
the best
I think NFTs will continue to be a thing because they are, like you're saying, useful to make the art world legitimate. But then I'm like, well, at the same time, people need it to be non-legitimate because most of the art world is just a way to pass money around.
That's true, yeah.
So will it ever become a thing? Like the reason it became corrupt, I assume, with the NFT thing is because they were trying to do the same thing, right? It's almost like by legitimizing a piece of art, they delegitimize the piece of art.
Well, no, because at the same time, you're not delegitimizing. Like the thing is, you can still launder money. Just because it's on the blockchain doesn't mean you couldn't launder money using art, right? Like let's say Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden goes out, paints 10 pieces, puts them on the blockchain to legitimize them.
It doesn't stop you, but it does stop people from selling fake art.
Yeah. But as far as the money laundering thing, you don't need fake art for that.
No,
you just need
can
art.
do
Period.
art,
Yeah, it doesn't.
Any piece of art, you just put an enormous value on it.
Precisely. Like Simon, I even saw this guy the other day. He's a tattoo artist, and he was talking about like a banking loophole that he kind of found where he's like, I sell my art for, $10,000 a piece, whatever. And he's like, what I started doing was I would like paint a few paintings, and then I would hang them in my house. And then eventually I would go to the bank and I would take out a loan and they would ask for collateral. And I would say, well, I have these 10 pieces of art. And because I have proof of sale of past art, they would let me collateralize my own art.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right? Again, these are all just small loopholes that
Yeah.
you have to be savvy enough to take advantage of. But
One of the interesting points on the Cameron Haynes Joe Rogan podcast was bringing up David Grusch after the fact, and Joe describing him. It was almost like grain of salt said he could be a useful idiot.
Just disparaging him. I'm surprised anybody goes, but we'll talk about this during David Grusch, but I'm surprised anybody goes on Joe's show from the UFO world anymore because you just have no idea which way the wind is blowing with that guy. He'll look you in the face and be like enthralled, and then one episode later totally throw you under the bus. Like, that's not good for anybody.
But it's not necessarily Joe's style, I thought.
Well, this is the way he's been talking for months and months and months now. I was actually super surprised when he had Grusch on because I was like, we know Joe's opinion on this, so how is this going to work? But they just managed to turn half of the episode into talking about AI anyways, so...
And then Joe goes, imagine you get to a planet and hunt a deer and you eat it and it kills you.
that's all Joe thinks about. I want to hunt something the second I get there.
If you get to the planet, you're good. If you die, it's a push.
I love how Joe's like, you're out in the woods all the time. You ever seen Bigfoot? No, I've never seen Bigfoot. You ever talked to somebody who's seen Bigfoot? No, never talked to anybody. Wow, case closed. That's all the anecdotal evidence I need to just fucking tie a nice bow on this thing of non-existence.
And
Now we got to the bottom of Simon's anger.
did we mention on air, or we talked about that? You said it. That Cam was down for stem cells, and he shut it out ways to well, which is another one of those Gary Brecka. He said he had a test that was $500 or something. Ways to well is the same thing. I looked it up. It's only in Texas, but I was thinking we should be able to take these tests and send the bill to Health Ontario.
Yep.
Like that should be a total reasonable thing. Okay, you don't agree?
I agree with you.
I mean,
Does that make sense?
I agree it should be, but there are plenty of things that aren't covered properly by our OHIP. Like,
No, but that's fine. What he's saying, though, is like if you could take a test that could say definitively this will make you a healthier person if you do A, B, and C, everyone in Ontario should get that
Yeah,
test.
everyone
for
in
free.
Canada should be offered that
100%,
right
yeah.
away.
And the
every year.
rigmarole of going through our current healthcare system to get that done would cost the whole system way more than that.
No, they would never let you do that test. They would never pay for that test. Like if you went to your doctor tomorrow, said, I heard about this test on Joe Rogan, can I get it done? He'd be like, yeah, you can go to the States and pay to have that done, but we don't offer that. We're not giving you that. No way.
You think I don't know what it's like, but if you had a family doctor.
Yeah, I have a
Doctor
family doctor.
that you
He's
see
fucking
every year.
useless.
Have
he
you
knows
ever tried to ask your doctor for a certain drug?
No.
They will not be stoked.
Whereas an American doctor probably would be.
I don't know. I'm just telling you, if you go in and you're like, listen, doc, I'm having these back pains. I think I need Cerebralex. They'll be like, I'm the doctor. I'll tell you what you need.
But we
And then you're like, but doc, the ad said ask my doctor about Cerebrex.
Talk to my doctor about it.
were then they start talking about steroids, and Joe, like every person they mentioned, he was like, the Mexican supplements, all this stuff, just after talking The Rock, which I also thought was kind of weird.
Joe, you're on HGH. What the fuck are we doing here? Like, you too are on testosterone. Am I crazy?
Well, no, he's a proponent of people taking steroids, though.
Yeah. So when he's all like, oh, that guy's fucking juiced up, like, I got news for you, pal.
Well, because those people are lying about it. He has no problem with people doing the juice.
No,
He
some of them
does
aren't lying about it.
He
A lot
does
of these-
the juice. If you do the juice and you're not lying about it, Joe has no problem with it.
No, I disagree because, again, all the guys he was mentioning are open about it. It's only the Liver King that was like, I'm not on any supplements.
Who's not open?
The Rock.
The Rock lies. He says he's not on the juice. That was the whole thing. We had this last week.
that's
Joe
what-
didn't call him out on
And
it.
now and then it seemed like he was calling out a bunch of people in this episode, and maybe it was just tongue in cheek, and he does not care.
No, but seriously, Matt, I'm telling you, like Joe.
Yeah, I'm
he's-
saying all those, I don't remember any of their names, but he mentioned like 3 bodybuilders. Cam brought them up. Those guys are all influencers on Instagram that are open about their steroid use. They're not hiding it.
Again, I mean, Joe today was saying everybody should take steroids. So
Well,
Then they were just talking about tough guys, guys who are tough in general. I was at the comedy club last night.
tough guys.
There was a
guys
guy-
who are tough in general.
There was a guy who was like 6'3" and probably 250 pounds, and he had one of those UFC like Dagestani.
yeah,
And
bowl
he,
cut.
And he was so fucking jacked that I realized when you're in a social place, you keep your eye on that guy. Everyone else you don't care, but the guys that could just crush you in a second if you stepped on the shoe or something.
It's just
Really?
pretty
That's how
much
you live?
everybody. I have to like walk around in constant fear.
But this guy, it was almost like instinctually, I zoned in on the guy and always made sure I knew where he
Kamar being
was.
the alpha male that he is, when another alpha male enters the room, it's immediate
Yeah.
like
Alpha knows
who's
alpha.
going to
No,
alpha the alpha.
I just sound gay, but this guy was so fit. Like he looked like he was ready.
Do
to
you
fight.
look at yourself as an alpha male? Just out of curiosity.
no,
when you look in the mirror, are you like
I
alpha?
do not. I
When Cam said weak men, were you like, I'm a weak man, or were you like, I'm a strong man?
I once was a strong man, for sure, in my 20s. This guy was young too. I think
Yeah, but
it's just
even
an age thing.
listen, I'm never a big dude, never have been. I was way stronger in my 20s.
Mm-hmm.
When I was bussing fucking 4 nights a week. Yeah, I'm a weak man then. I'm a weak man now. But I did find it ironic that he kept bringing up reels and Instagram like a fucking 14-year-old, but then had the audacity to be like weak men. And I was like, Cam, I got news for you, buddy. All the weak men are the ones who make all the shit that have made you and Joe's empires so big. So before you go out there
funny.
and shit on everyone about
Can't
how
bite
weak
the hand.
And you're absolutely right. It is so incredibly tough to listen to these guys talk about how tough they are out there taming the mountains. And then in the same breath, they're like talking about their Instagram page. Fuck you.
just
If you
new
have an
reality.
Instagram page or you even know what reels are, you don't get to tell people how tough you are.
Yeah. Well, no, that's my point is like, listen, you might be tough. You're way tougher than me. I'm not going to deny that. I
agreed.
just said I'm a weak man. I'm not shitting on you. If you
But
want
I'm not making my business on being a big tough guy, you know?
No, but my point still remains. Like, I bet if Cam Haines went back 60 years, they'd be like, you're not that tough. Like the average man back then was probably like, yeah, we all chop wood.
Cam is probably pretty tough. All these hunter guys going out in the woods. For
Listen,
extended
Cam can
period
run
of time.
100 miles a day. Okay, I couldn't run 4.
Was this Cam Haines or was it what's his name?
Cam Haines also runs
Cam?
marathons.
No, but who was this?
Cam Haines.
Oh my God.
Are you all right? Who
Yeah,
did you
the
think
whole
was David
time
Goggins?
No, the whole time I was listening, I thought it was
How?
the other hunter guy there.
Steve Ranella?
Steve Ranella.
Get out of here.
What do you mean? It's the exact same fucking conversation.
No, but Steve's got a drawl.
Well, this
I'm not
makes more
doing any
sense now.
justice to.
Anyways, okay.
Cam Haines is the one who wakes up
I
every
know-
day
I
at
know who
4
Cam
a.m. and
Haines, yeah.
takes the watch photo.
Cam Haines used to have a normal job and still run the marathons, and now he's a podcaster and runs the marathon.
Okay, we're up to speed. So an hour in, it was clear they had nothing to talk about, and that's what
Kind of
Cameron-
like us now.
Cameron says,
Yep.
the arrow don't lie.
Yeah, we're done.
Jiu-jitsu.
Oh, the only thing of any interest that they talked about was he asked him, have you ever heard of anybody out there seeing Bigfoot? But Cam thought he meant UFOs and said that the guys on
No, he
the
said both.
reserve had seen the UFOs, which is interesting.
You misheard that. He asked both.
He asked both of them.
He said, yeah. He said, you know a lot of guys that have been out in the woods a lot. Have any of them seen UFOs or Bigfoot?
Yeah.
And he said, Bigfoot, absolutely not. And then he said, there's a bunch of guys on the reserve. And then Joe threw natives on the bus. He was like,
that
well,
was
those
so-
natives really like to
so
drink. I was
rude-
like,
so
holy
rude,
fuck, Joe.
Right
Like,
after
yeah.
having the
Dude,
guy
somebody
on.
should clip that because that's just as fucking
Well, I don't think-
racist as
I don't think
anything he's
anyone
ever
should clip
said. Oh, I
anything.
think we should clip it.
Okay, we'll clip it. Then they played that thing.
Oh yeah, and by the way, those same people who see the UFOs on the reserves, 1,000% see Bigfoot on the reserves. It's not so he's met both people.
Sober as a judge. John Donaher said he believes anyone can become
Not doing
world
this.
elite in 5 years of training.
Let's move on to Grusch.
Everyone needs a coach. Elk with tusks would look fucking badass.
Anything with tusks.
Yeah, I guess
Put tusks on a
It's
baby.
so weird when
Well, am I wrong? Like,
That's maybe the one thing that wouldn't look badass.
it's so weird when you like look at whale skeletons and you see all these like extra appendages that used to be there but aren't there because they're now in the water. They have like I can't think of what they are, like elbows or whatever where their flippers are. And
like the
anyways.
penguin? No.
Or like
I told you, it's like the elephant when you look at its foot.
the
skeletal.
duckbill platypus.
Yeah.
Yeah, the elephant, exactly.
It has a foot just like ours and like a high heel, but then it's got
Yes,
the-
yes.
Yeah.
Platforms.
The duckbill platypus has like a spike on its I don't know, butt that's poisonous.
Interesting.
It's like a scorpion
That's
thing,
what killed
yeah.
Steve Owen. I'm
No,
kidding.
that
I know.
was a
It was a stingray. I'm well
manta
aware.
ray or a stingray. Yeah.
But to be able to hunt is very meaningful. And I think if the world does end, these guys will be better off than I am.
Dude, I forgot to tell you, I was at Trivia Monday, and these two regulars that are always there, I'm smoking outside at the break, and this dude's like, yo, I brought your girlfriend a deer hoof, and she didn't want it. And I was like, yeah, I mean, that sounds about right.
Is that like offering to your girlfriend to marry him?
Well, no, and I was like, okay. And then
I
he
got the goats. Let's go.
well, no, he was like, it's weird because like I bring her a lot of stuff. And
Crush the crow beak in front of her.
he's like, well, no, it's weird because I bring her a lot of stuff and she always wants to sell it at the bar. And I was like, oh, it's, and then I go, well, it's probably because it's taxidermied. I don't think you can sell taxidermy at the bar. And he looks me dead in the eyes and he goes, it's not taxidermied. And I went, hold on, what are we talking about right now? And he goes, I have a deer hoof that I brought her. And I was like, okay, she doesn't want it. I'll take it because I now need to see this. Dude, he runs to his car. He's back in 4 seconds. He has a severed fucking deer hoof. Like,
Fresh.
dude, he's like, I killed it yesterday.
Oh, that's definitely a mating ritual. Like you drop off the
Well, no, that was-
decapitated
but I was
hoof
like-
on the girl's
Yeah.
door.
So, dude, he gives it to me, and now I'm just standing there holding this severed deer hoof. And I'm
Why
like,
smell
would he
bad?
bring Mary a severed deer hoof?
I don't know.
You better get a prenup.
This is insane. That sounds like serial killer shit.
Can we go hunting with that guy?
That's what I asked him. Because he was like, I actually just started. He's like, last year I went for the first time. And he said, he was like, I don't know if this is luck or not, but he's like, I got up in the tree stand and I sat there for 45 minutes and a deer walked by and I shot it.
Like I'm a natural.
Well, yeah, he was like, I think it's just luck, but he's like, I he's like, I don't
I
know.
don't
that
think there's a shit ton of skill to like
Shot it-
sitting in a blind.
shot it with a gun.
No, but I think he was saying like 45 minutes. And he's like, most people have to sit up in
I
that
see.
blind
Could
for
take all day.
Yeah.
He shot it with a gun.
Yeah.
I guess it's not all day because it's a certain period of time. We should get bows.
Listen, if I want to go hunting, I'm going to shoot it with a fucking gun. I'm
I know,
not
but
going to learn.
You
to
can just
bow
buy
hunt.
a bow. You don't need a license to get a bow, right?
Or you need a license to hunt with a bow.
No, but just I never want to
You
pull
can
it back.
just- you
should
can just
bows,
get
though.
a bow,
We should
yes.
get bows.
I think you have to. Kamar, I bought what's that? The pellets. I bought pellets for Jared's
BBs?
pellet gun, and I had to provide identification, which they put in the computer. I bet it's the same with the bow.
That's fine.
You're just saying
I
there's no
don't have to
permit.
go.
Gotcha. Yeah.
You had to what?
Red
I
tape
bought
to get
I
it.
bought
It's ammunition.
BBs. You didn't have to supply anything. They have them locked up at like Canadian Tire.
I'm
but
telling
they
you, at
just-
Canadian Tire, because Jared was like, "Why is he asking for your ID?" And I was like, "I don't know." And then I watched the guy punch his shit in, and I was like, "Yo, what are you doing?" He was like, "You're buying ammunition." I was like, "Okay, come on."
So the government now knows you have BBs in your house before
I
they come
don't,
in.
but fuck the government.
Do you, one last thing. Do you think there's a bunch of superhumans coming down the pike?
No.
Like, is there young people who have been listening to Joe Rogan for the last 3 years and they're
Oh, I see what you're
doing
saying.
all the stuff, know how to hunt,
Yeah,
are
probably.
perfecting like better people?
I truly don't believe that young people listen to Joe Rogan. I'm
That's
not
interesting.
being facetious. I think that's the case. I think he probably has a huge core audience of people that grow with him for the most part. But
We're not growing.
Well, I mean, he might be right. Like,
if
the older
my
Joe
son
gets,
doesn't listen to Joe Rogan.
the older Joe gets, the less likely he is. Like, he's 50.
appeal.
Like, think about it. When you were 20, was there strong odds you were going to listen to a 53-year-old
George
man's
Burns and
That's
Why? Why do you think he?
Larry King
Why
live.
do you think he does protect the parks so
Yeah, it's to keep
regularly?
that's what I'm saying.
He picks people he thinks are popular with kids and
Last week you said he
latches
didn't do that.
onto him like a lecherous old man.
Okay, well, that's Cameron Haynes in a nutshell.
Thanks.
I give it a 1.
I give it a 2.5.
I can't. It was all like the UFC talk was
I'm with
unbearable.
Matt. I give it a 1. This was fucking garbage.
Again, if you're a hunter, I'll take that back. I was gonna say if you're a hunter, you might still be into this. If you're a hunter and you've listened to any previous Joe Rogan, Cam Haynes episode, there's no need. There's no new hunting stories. There's
As
nothing.
far as a hunting podcast goes, this one is garbage. There wasn't any good hunting talk. As far as a UFC one goes, because why? What do we need him to talk about UFC for? Like, had no purpose.
Yep.
Had no flow.
Yep.
Had no nothing.
Yep.
Wasting my time.
Yep.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
It gets a 1. Any more than that, you're lying to yourself and you're lying to our audience.
We don't want to do
12
that.
people who are listening.
Yeah.
What did you give it, Kamar, by the way?
2.
Yeah. Like I said, lying to yourself and lying to the audience.
Yeah.
It's all an act. 2065, David Grusch. The limitations of disclosure. That's how I...
That's what you dubbed this episode, the limitations of disclosure.
Because, I mean, he talks about that a lot, and it's so hard because he's sort of a nerd, but it seems like he's really smart.
Mm-hmm.
And so the useful idiot thing doesn't... Like, he seems like he's
The
legitimate, this
useful
guy.
idiot thing 100% works because it's just like Bob Lazar. He was super smart too. The people who are there making sure that the space shuttle lands on the moon, those people all think it's going to the moon. They're the useless idiots. They're highly intelligent people. They think they're doing something. It's just not what they think it is. That's the useful idiot.
But it was this one who said the guys who were making the fuses for the atom bomb didn't know they were making the fuse for the atom
Which
bomb.
is exactly what Bob Lazar said, that in this whole thing, he did this and somebody else did this and the guy who was working on the force field might not even have known he was working on UFOs.
They could have told him this is a Russian thing we found.
Who
whatever.
knows? Who knows? And maybe that is the only reason they told Bob Lazar all that stuff is because they knew he was a giant blabbermouth because they had done their homework. You know what I mean?
My only problem with that, though, is like you're talking about, you said it off the rip. You're like, they're obviously really smart people. You know, I have a tough time believing that someone really smart would just believe blanket statement, oh, this is just Russian tech.
You know, there's a difference between really smart and like world traveled kind
I
of
understand,
smart.
street
And
smart
when
books,
you're a
yeah.
scientist like that and you're singly focused on your line of work, sometimes they're like total morons to real life.
No, but you're missing what I'm saying. It has nothing to do with real life. What I'm saying is like you've worked on propulsion your whole life, okay? You know all there is. You've read every book. You've read every paper. And then the U.S. government comes to you and says, we have this propulsion project, and you start working on it, and they show you this tech, and they say, this is Russian tech. I don't care if you're street smart or dumb or whatever. You've been working on this specific thing your whole life. You can sit there and probably say to yourself, I know for a fact this is not Russian tech because I've read everything mankind has ever written on propulsion, and I have a tough time believing. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying. Now, keep in mind, Simon, it doesn't mean that he knows definitively this is UFO tech. You're still right there. But I don't know. I mean, listen, they also, the further back you go, the more trust people had in government, right?
Yeah, fair enough.
So in the 70s, too, if the government just said, hey, this is what it is, you didn't really have podcasts to listen to. You didn't know about conspiracies, the Gulf of Tonkin, paperclip, any of that.
We know from the Manhattan Project that those guys had no idea what they were working on. And those were some of the smartest individuals in the world. So.
Sure, but that one's a little bit different to me because they're dealing with tech they hadn't come up with yet, but it was all within the scope of stuff they had already been working on.
I see what
Does that make a little more sense?
Because it's something they've never seen before.
Yeah, like when they were talking about the guy making the fuse, like he's probably an expert in making fuses, right? So they're like, we need it. And he's just like, oh yeah, making fuses. There's nothing different. Like if all the components already exist on Earth to make an atom bomb, it just takes you putting them all together. You just need the 5 people in the room to put it together to know, and everyone else doesn't need to know shit. That's great, Dead Air.
So
for this guy.
rate it. No, he seems legitimately concerned about protecting national security. It's unfortunate Harry Reid passed away because apparently he knew the most.
He needs to, because he came out legally as a whistleblower, unlike Snowden and what's his name. Allegedly, he has these rules he has to follow, or he will be put in jail and he'll have to go on the run. And I guess he doesn't want to do that, you know?
But it feels like it's, sort of symbolic handcuffs. But he said they have non-human material.
Yeah.
And so you think that's an alien?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a ship, first of all. Look, I can tell you this. They talked about him in this episode, Lakatsky. He's a scientist, super smart guy. Wrote the book with Knapp and Colm Cowell, whatever his name is, another scientist. They wrote Skinwalkers at the Pentagon, which was all about the secret programs in the government and Skinwalker Ranch and all the stuff that they found. It was a book full of some pretty crazy accounts of like dino beavers and all this weird shit that happened at Skinwalker Ranch. This new book they wrote was like more of a nuts and bolts kind of book. That's how they describe it anyways. A little less woo and a little more whatever. Anyways, this guy, when he was on George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell's podcast, and it was one of the most annoying interviews you've ever heard, because every second they would ask him a question and he would be like, I can't say anymore. Because he doesn't work for the government, but when they wrote this book, they had to make sure that what they were saying wasn't giving away any government secrets. So there was like checking between it. And he just all the time would be like, I can say this, but I can't say that. And they were trying to press him and he was like getting aggravated. It was really annoying. But there's one chapter in that book. It's like chapter 13, something like that. This guy who only says what the government will allow him to say in this chapter says, we have a UFO. Not only that, we just figured out how to get inside it, meaning we've had it for a while and had no idea how to open it up, which is a crazy idea, right? It's like...
it's not that crazy.
Well, it's a cool idea to think about.
I'm just saying, if
How they opened it, I have no idea. Maybe it was with a song. Maybe kind of like Close Encounters of the Third
maybe
Kind.
it was with a song.
Anyways, point is, he says that in this
Someone
book.
just walks past it and farts. And he goes,
So that's been passed by the U.S. government.
Okay.
to be
It's out there.
Said.
Like, it's crazy. That's crazy, man. Like, it really is nuts to think about.
well, Grusch said that Lockheed Martin has it. Do you know anything about Lockheed Martin?
So they had all of these UFOs, apparently weren't able to do any studies on them, like he said, because nobody wanted to do the studies because they had to sign these crazy NDAs or whatever, and they couldn't get any credit for anything. And they tried to sell it or give it back to the government who didn't want it. Like, it's nuts, man.
Can I ask you a question? Hold
Then
on.
he said they broke in. He said they broke into a craft, which again, how do you start to just build a big can opener?
Well, or they broke in by force. That's
But I think you wouldn't want to use anything combustible or
I think
flame.
you'd
Wouldn't you
have
want to
to
do?
be-
Wouldn't you want to do the least amount of damage to the fucking vessel as possible?
Oh, 100,
take a crowbar to it.
100%. But I also imagine that if you have this craft, this tic tac, let's say, no visible seams, no visible anything, you have no way to
Yeah, I
get
get it,
inside
yeah.
it. It's sitting in a hangar for like 35 years, maybe longer. They probably, knowing the Americans and how they shot nukes into space and all the crazy cowboy shit they did, they must have tried everything to get into this fucking thing.
But do you think you could take time off? Like, okay, nothing today. See you on Monday. Like, it seems like an obsessive thing that you want 24 hours a day. Like,
Yeah, I'm sure someone did
Work-
to
work-
get into the thing, Simon.
working on well, maybe tomorrow.
No, I actually think, just from the sounds of these guys talking, that they had that unable to open for a very long time. There might have been, depending on who was in the government and how much money was flowing into things like OSAP and Arrow and whatever the fuck, that shit might have been on the burner for like years at a time, you know? Who knows?
I bet they were bringing all the other alien shit they had and like trying to bring it close, like rub it on. You know what I mean? Like guaranteed they
I
did
think
that.
you would have to, Matt.
Of course
I think
you
you
would.
would have to try everything.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Do we still have that one from Africa? Bring
Like,
it in.
He said
Bring
a
it
giant
over here.
can opener. I bet you they made a giant can opener and tried to open it like a fucking tuna can.
I wouldn't put anything past them.
Just the whole thing is crazy. And then to them finally opening it, my imagination just goes nuts. Like, that's such a cool
And that's what I'm saying.
movie.
How could you leave it? Like,
Can I ask you a question?
Guys would die of sleep deprivation.
Those billionaires spent $250,000 to take that crummy little ship down to the ocean. Do you think there's any chance that this is just like billionaires from another galaxy?
That's
Interesting.
That's hilarious.
Well, right? Could it not be?
Yeah.
And like, see, even the ones that crash, they're like, well, we told you not to use space W because they always crash. And this is their fifth, you know what I mean? Like,
Interesting. I mean, I kind of like This Is Us.
oh, I like that too. I'm just throwing new ones out there.
I like that one. We have talked about how the disclosures information would make everyone freak out. If everyone knew what we knew. So, but he says there's no disclosure plan. Like, we think they're in control, but they have no idea what to do. Don't know if it'd be exciting, bring the world together, or scare people. And so he's
I love how they think
come
that
out to initiate this process.
$13 watermelon scares me. So what are they going to what can you present me that I'm not going to be afraid of at this point? Like,
This better be good.
I think the only way that kind of disclosure happens is literally by there has to be 20 ships around the 20 capitals of the world. All one of those type of
wouldn't tell us that even
contact
then.
scenario. No, you would see them.
Well, yeah,
that's the only way. Otherwise, because we see 2017, 2021, these massive articles come out with proof, and nobody fucking. First of all, most people don't even know. Secondly, the ones who know, most of them don't care. You know what I mean?
because of deep fakes if people would even believe it.
I think you would believe it if you saw it with your own
physically,
eyes.
but if you saw it on TikTok or whatever.
Well, it would be you would think it would be fake for a sec, but like I don't think it would take long for you to figure out that you start going to news stations and every news station is reporting the same thing. Like you would figure it out.
But so he it was sort of vague, but he says around 2030 there could be disclosure. If the Schumer amendment goes through and they free up this information.
I mean, what's the next piece of disclosure? I imagine it's them releasing some videos that actually look like something. Does that make sense? We want to see like 4K. And then again, would you even believe it? So then they roll out an alien and they show you, we have fucking this guy on ice. Are we going to believe it? Like,
I would think it'd be a national space museum or UAP museum.
I just don't understand. Like, if like, let's say they did come out tomorrow and told us we know definitively.
How's it going to affect inflation?
No, like they're still going to be able. Like, let's say they were like, we know definitively we've had contact. What can we do about it?
Well, contact is interesting because take that out of the equation. I think I agree with you.
Sure. Okay. You're
They're
right. Yes.
here,
Yes. Okay.
we
I
see
apologize.
them,
Yes.
what are we going to do?
That's my point. We don't have the technology to contact them, to leave our.
Unless they're talking to us or we're actively involved with them. In
Sure.
some
You're right.
sort of,
I
like,
apologize. The contact
federation.
is. Because no, if they contacted us and we were like, we're coming and they weren't telling us that.
Oh, I mean, that's a whole other thing. No,
Yeah.
I meant like they've given us technology.
Sure,
like
yeah.
those
No, that
things
too,
are
yeah.
all.
No, but
that
it all
changes
yeah,
things.
It does. I agree.
But them just being here, well, they're already here. I think that much is, and it's changed nothing. Zero. No, but really,
Yeah.
like I'm a UFO guy. It's changed nothing. We believe a little more, but only the people who believed already,
Yeah.
And it's put a genuine, because now
But hold on. I would say that more people believe now than they did 50 years ago.
I think more people believe now, but it also, when you have the government involved like this, so many people don't believe anymore. So I don't know.
He has a big B in his bond about 2 mics.
And sorry, just going back for a sec, I don't know if we believe more now. Like there were times in history where people really believed in UFOs,
I would say that a higher percentage of the population is open to UFOs now than 30, 40, 50 years ago. Again, I could be wrong.
I wonder. Yeah.
But it's more of a, we can't be the only ones out here next.
Well, that's what everybody has said, right? Like, smart people well, of course, we can't be the only ones here, but they would never have a conversation with you about little green men coming down and taking people away, right? Like people who claim to be abducted by aliens, you're crazy. But of course they're aliens in the same breath.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny. We were watching Oppenheimer and there's a part where like Fermi walks in and I'm watching with Mary and her sister. I'm like, Fermi,
paradox,
Fermi. And they're like, we don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And I was like, yeah, you know what? I don't actually either. So whatever.
No, it's cool.
And then I thought to myself, I was like, this might not even be the same Fermi.
It is 100%
Is it? Okay, I thought
the
so,
same
yeah.
Fermi. Yeah, it's very cool that we quote their things, but these guys are only like
50
years
years old.
It's like your granddad.
Yeah.
So he claims his big foe are 2 mics that are trying to block him on the behalf of special interest groups. Flying butane.
Hold on, back up to that, because that's what special interest group does not want. Isn't that interesting?
Plenty. I would imagine.
They want to have control of the technology.
Yeah.
So you're talking about it's only like big weapons.
Big
Well,
weapon,
that's the only people who could be involved
big
in this.
energy. No, like if the UFOs fly on some sort of propulsion that doesn't require gas or any sort of power like that.
No, but I still see, this is where I always push back. Like, let's say that technology existed. Lockheed, name any massive company, they would use that, give us the energy, and charge us for it. Like the idea of free energy is funny to me because unless someone can say you, Simon, using things around your house can make free energy, there is no such thing as free energy. Free energy just means it can be created for free and then sold to you at a profit. That's all free energy really means,
Well,
right?
free energy, the idea behind it was that everybody would get energy for free.
I understand the statement is what it means, but what I'm saying is in in the world we live in today, the capitalist world we live in today, there's no fucking way. Like I said, unless you can make it using household things, there's no fucking way. There's a company's going to figure it out and then sell it to you.
I still think that there would be interest groups that don't want this shit getting out.
Sure, I'm not denying that, but I'm just saying.
And I'm sure one of them is energy. Maybe it's not for that reason, but it's for another one. The Department of Energy has been integral in hiding this whole UFO thing. I don't know why, but they've been involved, which is odd.
Listen, I'm sure there's a reason. I'm just saying, back to the free energy thing, like, you know.
You just don't like the term free energy.
Well, no. Like, I go back to Tesla. Like, if Tesla, if Tesla had a way for everyone in their home to just create free energy, then yeah, they want him dead for sure. But if his thing is like, you have to build these massive coils that cost like however much money, most people probably wouldn't do that anyway. I mean, free energy is free. Who knows?
Well, yeah, I think the idea, though, is that the energy is out in the air.
Yeah.
All you need is this coil, one-shot deal. You're not paying by the month for energy. That's the free energy for everyone. Yes, Tesla is still going to get rich in the process, but everybody does get free energy.
I get it. But like, Simon, you, for example, you live on a nice piece of land. You could, for like $250,000, build yourself a wind turbine. And then you would never have to pay for energy again.
Yeah.
But you don't have the $250,000 upfront to do that. You're not going to do that. You're just going to continue paying for energy.
Well,
right?
I don't think that Tesla's whole thing was to charge people a shit ton of money for free energy.
I get that. I'm just saying that, like, right now there are ways where you can have quote unquote free energy. They just cost a lot upfront, and most people can't afford that. And that's all I'm saying about the free energy. Like,
and most of them just aren't very reliable or generate enough energy for what you're going to need to do.
I mean, I saw a guy who built one wind turbine on his farm, and he said that it.
You saw this on TikTok?
No, I watched a whole YouTube video on it. He was showing like the whole process of building it, and it was a lot of work.
Well, wind is better, but like solar is, you need so many solar panels.
Oh, I get it. I mean, he even said, he was like, listen, after 25 years, I'm probably gonna have to replace a lot of this wind turbine because obviously.
Well, that's fine. I don't mind the replacing of it. Like that happens with pretty much everything that you use.
There's nothing is built to last.
They have to replace the lines. They have to replace the poles that the electricity flows through. So
geothermal.
Anyways, back to aliens.
There's flying butane tanks in the 50s, similar to the flying Tic Tac of 2014. What if it's the same thing that's been there?
What do you mean? Hold on, butane
flying
tanks?
butane
They were
tanks?
described
What are you
as
talking about?
butane tanks.
Oh, they
They're
were
not actually
saying
flying.
the same
gotcha.
thing.
And it's the Tic Tac of 2014.
100% they were
it's the
saying
same
the
thing
same
that's
thing.
been there the whole time.
I think that's a pretty solid guess. We know.
Or flying barbecues.
Look, we don't know, but if you believe, let's say, what's his name? We have UFOs that they found in archaeological digs. So these guys have been around for a while.
Well, first of all, if there is a wildly advanced civilization that can travel through the galaxies, then there's not a good chance. There's 100% chance that they've been coming here forever, right?
If time travel exists, they've been coming here forever, right? That's the.
Well, forget time travel. I'm just saying, if there is a civilization, it 2 galaxies over, that is 10 million years old, and they're super advanced, then yeah, they've probably been coming here for 1 million years.
But they also may not have ever got here. What I'm saying is, if you're dealing with like dimensions and time traveling, it means that they've already got here.
Sure.
And if you believe in like time travel, like somebody invented time travel at some point.
Well, I don't, but okay.
You don't?
No.
Oh, interesting. Or if you believe in like the Matrix.
Well,
I told you, I believe in time travel in the sense that if you can travel fast enough, you can move forward in time, but you cannot move backwards in time. So, for example, if I flew 2 galaxies over at light speed and then flew back, I would get here 100 years later.
What if it's the folding of the paper, though? Doesn't that change it?
Not to go back. No, not
really.
for me.
Not to go back. I'm sure it does.
The paper disappears in the back.
Like you're talking about the black hole, and I still don't think a black hole could move you back in time. I don't know anything. I'm not a theoretical physicist. Neither.
I think you could.
Well, but again, you're just talking about theories. Like,
Yeah, just theories. I mean,
And
that's all just theories.
That's where
Nobody's done it.
David
that we
Grusch
know of.
went off the deep end, but started talking about interdimensional 3-dimensional, we could create a baby or whatever. If you're 5-dimensionals, there's other things you create. And I think it was actually in the Cameron Haynes, but a split in civilizations or a split in dimensions. Maybe not the younger dry ass, but
Dry ass.
Like maybe time travel has nothing to do with anything we understand as the way time works.
Time is like
Sure, but I mean,
it could just like you're looking to put human rules of the
has
universe
nothing to do with human. It's
on
the
no.
days don't
Hold on.
actually exist,
I'm
years
putting
don't actually
universe
exist.
rules on
Hold
the
on,
universe.
but
There's a big
universe
difference.
rules that we understand as humans. We could
It's
only
not actually
understand
2024.
1% of what's going on out there. And if we could see the 5 dimensions like Kamar was saying, you would be able to understand that it's such a limited view scope to be like, well,
Okay,
we can't go back in time because that's what Newton's laws say, or that's what Einstein's
Them's the
laws
rules.
say. There
No.
are no rules.
Okay,
rules
fine.
don't exist because the universe is whatever the fuck it is. That's not. I don't know if that's right. I'm
the
just
old
saying.
construct.
Yeah, but what you're saying is that anything is possible under
Correct.
any. But
Correct.
Yeah, but you can't live like that because we live in a world where. So you could fly. Why don't you jump off a building?
Well, because the rules.
No, but you
of-
don't know. You
of
haven't
this
tried.
Earth. Well,
No, but the rules of this earth then are the rules of this earth. What you're saying is that there are no rules, or we just don't know them yet.
maybe there are rules that we don't understand on this Earth for sure. But we've seen enough people jump off buildings and not fly to, have a pretty good idea how that's going to turn out.
Yeah, but my point is, so like, there are rules to everything, right? Like there are certain limitations.
No, to what we understand, there are rules.
Yeah, but that would also mean that given our shell and our mind, there are rules and limitations no matter what.
Well, no, we know for certain there are certain people who can do things that other people can't. They're bending your rules of this universe,
such as
remote viewing. These are people who can astral project
yes,
their
you
body
keep
to
doing this
different
remote
places.
viewing thing.
David brought him up too.
No,
Yeah,
but
that's great.
this is a thing. So I'm saying, whether you believe it or not, if they're actually able to do that, they're breaking the rules that you associate with this planet.
okay,
Okay, so that's it.
you're fine.
One of the reasons why I think he might be legitimate is because he's 36 years old, but he looks like he's 50.
I don't think he looked like he was 50, but
He looked older than 36, but
He
I mean,
looked-
50 is the new 20.
he looked weathered.
You're 50.
I am 50, and I look old.
I don't
no,
think so.
you don't look okay.
You look
Go on,
exactly
go
the
on.
same way you looked when you were 30. Am I wrong?
He's high functioning autistic. Get that out of the way so it doesn't come up some other time. Almost lost his job, pressure on his coworkers. He said he's got threatening messages. Wouldn't say what they were because there's an investigation to him and his wife that you could be reached. And I didn't understand till this episode that he's an intelligence officer, a spook, CIA, sort of.
He was.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
he talked. He wanted to take a moment to talk about the trauma that these guys that press a button and 25 people die, or just the disconnect of, as he said, turning people into pink mist.
Okay.
Do you think that is considered?
Sorry, what?
I think it's ridiculous that
Maybe I'm not making sense.
No, you're not.
But guys that are in an office in Seattle and they're a drone over Yemen and oh God.
what he's saying is
the wrong
someone
thing.
not that high up in the military is sitting in an office building right now, controlling a drone, and they're faced with a choice, split-second decision. We have this target, high-value target. He's in a highly populated area. Do we drop the strike right now? There will be at least 50 civilian casualties. And what Kamar is saying is that some civilian, not that high up, has to make that decision and then live with that decision moving forward.
I imagine that the person, he's not a civilian, he works for the army.
Yeah. Okay. You're missing my point. What I meant was civilian in the sense that, like, they're not a general. They're not that high up. There are fucking
Oh, that's what I mean. I would assume that the people making the decisions to kill drone strikes
even
are
better.
high up.
You don't make a decision, you just do it and say,
The
well,
person who's doing the drone strike, well, that's just like you going to war, man. You're not deciding to kill Ukrainians or whatever. That's your job.
well, are generals just like up at night thinking of the 10,000 guys that they've had killed so far? Like,
No.
they have to have an emotional just
I mean, I would
separation.
imagine that some of them, especially after duty, just, that overwhelms you and you.
No, I think that gets listen, PTSD is real, but I don't think the generals feel it. From what we've heard from you think Tim Kennedy has any trouble sleeping at night?
Yeah.
You do.
I think he probably has at some point. Maybe he's figured out a way to get by now, but
I don't think Tim Kennedy has any trouble sleeping at night. I think Tim Kennedy is at a place where he has decided that the innocent people that have died potentially at his hand or the hand of his compatriots is just a part of war, a necessary evil to keeping freedom alive for Americans.
we know that these drone operators have like crazy PTSD and never go into war just from having to kill these people.
Yeah. But maybe being boots on the ground is way different.
Maybe it's worse. Maybe it's better.
I think it's better. Listen, if you're boots on the ground, you might be able to see the horrifics things that the other side has done. If you're sitting in a fucking air conditioned,
if you're boots on the ground and you're scared, you shoot through the door and then you open the door and it's a 3-year-old girl.
I think it's easier to like
Pretty
compartmentalize when you're the drone operator because you never see any of the outcomes of the people you kill. Like if you choose to, you can probably remain totally ignorant.
listen, I mean, let's keep in mind there's people in the fucking financial world that ruin millions of lives, and they tend to sleep pretty well at night. So who knows? I guess there's a difference between death and money.
So everything. Well, so his frustration is who decides who needs to know. Like, what gives this one person who got a job as a journal for 5 years the right? I can decide you don't need to know this.
Oh, they just run on. We don't need to know anything.
Under the guise that there's radiation that is emitting from some of this stuff, and under the Radiation Act, it can be classified.
Well, there's the Department of Power again, by the way. Mm-hmm. Well, again, it's just they're looking to keep people from knowing, and that's how they do it.
Well,
who decides that? The higher ups.
Where is it
decide
written? Who? Yeah,
I think it's the energy
Well,
department.
most of the. Sorry?
So I think it's the energy department.
What did I say?
Department of Power.
Oh, of energy.
I think that one's a hidden one.
Yeah, whatever. Sorry, what were we talking about, Kumar?
we're talking about. It's all this is classified. Like there isn't the UFO or UAP. It's all under the Atomic Regulations Act. Anything that emits some sort of radiation, then we can say it's national security.
Well, now they have these different UFO departments. I think before they had them, that's what it would have been under.
I think currently it's all under that right now.
Oh, like you're saying that ATIP or whatever it is, Arrow is under the Department of Energy.
I thought that's
or
what I
Energy
heard.
and Power.
Understood he was saying. Like it's a 50-year-old
The Department of Powerful Energy. You like
regulation.
that?
Yeah. That's much better.
We always love the Nixon Gleason story because that house, right?
That house.
The house is built to look like what we think a UFO could look like. Mm-hmm. There's no other, unless someone just makes that up.
I don't buy that story.
Okay, that's fine.
No, just for the reason that, like, I realize you're the president and you're the most powerful man in the world, but I have a tough time believing that, like, that all the people around you are going to be like, you just want to take Jackie Gleason, you two drunks, we're going to allow you to take him to a top secret military base and view. I don't know.
What's crazier is the ability to take pictures of all this stuff. Would have been, when we were kids, it would be this little. But now, I mean, if this happened today with Joe Biden and Brad Pitt, you could get a cell phone photo or whatever, unless they obviously don't let you bring in your phone.
I mean, part of me is like, yeah, there's no way they would ever let the president do that. And then part of me is like, well, Nixon was just such a fucking renegade that maybe.
I don't know.
It didn't seem like they had a lot of control over Nixon. That's, I guess, what I'm saying.
He took a second to give his conspiracy theory that Russia started the war between
Israel and
Palestine, which would be very interesting if you like. That Putin's a badass. I don't know if there's any truth to it.
well, why not? He's KGB. He would have known. That's like in their playbook. No,
Yeah,
if you're struggling in a war, get a war to start somewhere else.
Boom, cash. David Grusch has never seen anything himself. Then they got into the remote viewing, and he thinks there could be a transceiver in the brain that has to be that. This is sort of the interesting thing that you talk about: mind control, moving things. It may be dormant, needs to be unlocked. Powers of interdimensional beings. This is what he thinks about.
The
on his
third eye. Mm-hmm. That's the pineal gland.
He doesn't have children. He's a fluffy dad, and then Joe
That gets calcified, probably from things like fluoride in the water,
fluoride in the water,
or
what other
maybe
things do
like
we
high
all take?
fructose corn syrup.
That's so recent, though. This would
Yeah,
have to
what
be
there would be remote viewing
100
like
years ago.
for
100 years
1,000
ago.
years. There would have been so much remote viewing.
It's got to be something before
you know
all
what?
that.
There was a whole time where they burnt people they thought were seers.
Well, what if it's fossil fuels?
Look, he's not even listening.
Fossil
the
fuels
witches.
that's relatively new too.
Maybe those were all remote viewers. Every time there was this like genocide of people, maybe they were just taking out a new breed of.
So you just believe in the Illuminati? Full on then.
Oxygen. We're not supposed to breathe.
Yeah, that's it.
Joe seems to think his children are gifted geniuses.
Well, what parent in the world doesn't?
That's what I thought. No one thinks my kid's just a piece of shit.
Well,
In
I don't
his
think my
defense-
kid's a piece of shit, but I also don't think he's like a gifted genius.
But there
you
must
know
be
what I
something
mean?
you think he's good at that you weren't good at, or
No, but is Shep good at art? Has he shown any?
He's okay. He hasn't really like.
Is his mom good at art?
No.
Okay, so maybe.
this sounds like a jealous dad. He's a
No, but I'm just
Leonardo
saying,
da
like,
Vinci over
listen,
here.
Joe was really gifted at art young. I could see his daughter being equally gifted, and I could see him being, I don't know. Listen, if your kid has a talent, you're supposed to be fucking super supportive of it. You're not supposed to go on fucking your 5 million listener podcast and be like, my kid, bang, average at art.
No, I just I don't know.
Listen, Joe Rogan is a
You
high.
don't need to be out there fucking pushing your successes in everybody's face.
He's not. He's pushing his kid's success.
Well, that's his success.
We create technology that's just our with no like end in sight.
Well, it's the
Always build a new thing.
Necessity is the mother of invention.
Advancement,
Well,
innovation.
capitalism drives so much of that. If
Well, this
without
is it.
that, we
Is-
might have
is it to
advance
make
at
life-
a normal scale.
Is it
you know?
to make life better or to make money? Our pursuit, like
Well,
they
I think both.
They cross over.
I think they end up being the same thing, but it's driven by money, not by.
I think it's 50-50. I think in the last 25 years, 30 years, the big push has been anything that will save you time. And then again, if you can save people time, you will make a ton of money. I think
And
that's
you're saving them money because you're saving them time.
precise.
It's all
I
about
think I
money.
really do believe that in the last 30 years, like all the big, like anything it's all just to save you time.
See, I'll agree to this, and I don't know if this is what you're saying, but before, let's go from like 1900 until 1950 or 1960. That was innovation because we needed to get forward. Everything after that was driven by like some capitalist need of just more money. So we'll make things that you don't even need and convince you that you need them because we need to pad our pockets. Like
Well, yes and no, 'cause even-
iPhones, for example, like we would all be doing just fine with the iPhone 4. We don't need to be on the iPhone 15, but capitalism drives that. You need to have,
Why don't you use an iPhone 4 then? Huh? Why don't you use
Check
an
me.
iPhone 4?
well, because they've made it impossible for us to use old iPhones because of their constant updates. But if they weren't constantly pushing to get to the 14, we would all have enough
It
updates to
served
operate
our
under the
purposes
6.
fine at that point, is what you're trying
Oh,
to say.
for
I have
sure.
I have an
man, for
iPhone
sure.
10. I'm going to give it to you, and you're going to use it for 2 weeks, and we're going to see.
The biggest thing for me,
I use an iPhone 9. Like,
No,
what are you
you don't.
talking
Show
about?
me that.
At least a 10.
as they get older, the batteries die. That's the
Like,
biggest thing.
Pull it up. It'll show. It says on
Where?
it.
Where does
go
it
to
say?
settings, general,
No problem, man.
and then go to about.
I credit part of the advancement of innovation is young people, that we make new people who know no better when they come of age to use new technology to adopt something. They don't have anything to.
I just find it odd that Simon, all the technology.
It's a 12, but still, it's old.
Okay, well, look at that.
Like someone born today, none of this.
You think it's odd that
impresses
Simon White,
them.
you didn't get to the insult of that?
No, there's no insult. I just think you benefit and use a lot of technologies that make your life so much easier, but then you shit on them and go, I would have been fine without this. And I know you, anything that saves you time or makes life easier, you love. You hate figuring it out. Anything that you have to figure out is a detriment to you. But once you have figured out, I'm not saying this in a negative. You hate.
We would be just fine. We would be just fine with the iPhone 8.
So then what? But hold on.
We would be fine.
So we'd be fine without an iPhone then.
We would be fine without an iPhone. I mean, I'm for sure we would be fine without an iPhone.
But right, well, no, but like we just need
Is it
rotary
good
phones
to
at
have-
home, right?
Is it good to have an iPhone?
No, my
Probably.
question to you, Simon, is very simple. Like all these things have made your life easier. Using that iPhone, you can send money to someone instantly. Not that you figured that out yet either.
Oh yeah,
But
I send tons of money.
the point is, all that stuff that you are like, we don't need this.
We don't need it.
Well, you don't need anything.
I
All you
use
really
it
need.
because it's there, and it would be crazy for me not to take advantage of the things that everybody else is taking advantage of. Do we need them? No, I think we would be fine living in the same way we lived in 1996.
Okay, but then I'll go back further. Like you could easily you have a toilet. You could just shit in a hole in your backyard.
Okay, you could.
Yeah. So the toilet is a great invention that has made your life cleaner and easier.
Yeah,
But
and
you wouldn't just go back because you could.
Not driven every year that you need to buy a brand new toilet to keep up with the Joneses. No, we're all satisfied with toilets, flushing, and getting your poop
But
away
you're
from you.
talking about one thing.
No,
the iPhone.
most things are like that.
Like what? When was the last time you bought a TV other than this one?
Me personally,
Yeah.
not very often, but a normal person buys a new TV every 2 months or every year or whatever the fuck it is.
When was the last time you bought a TV?
Again, bad example.
Why? I haven't bought a TV in 10 years. So we're three people here that have collectively replaced like a TV a decade.
The thing is, if I was like really financially secure, I might be a totally different person.
You would buy
Most
TVs
people
all the
aren't
time.
I don't know. I don't think so.
financially
I
secure.
don't buy TVs. I've never bought a TV.
Listen,
I've never bought a TV in my life.
Trust me.
I just realized that. I think I'm gonna cry right
Cameras, TVs, phones, this,
now. There's
that.
always a TV everywhere you go, but I've never ever bought a TV in my life. The Android translator. I want to see how that works.
That is right out of Star Trek.
And it seems like it should change the world as we know
Or
it.
what is it? Is it Avatar where they put the little fucking bug in
No, it's
their
Star
ear?
Trek,
Oh, no,
but
it's Men in Black.
But it's weird to say
Same
it's.
They put the bug in
Same
their ear.
diff. Same diff.
I mean, listen, someone who wrote Star Trek in the 80s or in the 70s was like, wouldn't it be really cool if I could just have something translate to me quickly? That's not that crazy that they finally invented that.
Because it's out in the ether, the idea already.
Yeah.
Someone should have patented it.
I mean,
Someone has the patent on it.
I assume that everything that comes from Star Trek is something that exists on another planet.
I know you do, of course.
But you have to trust that it's not taking liberties.
Do you
with
think
translation.
humans have come up with any inventions on our own, or it's just been?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. But we didn't even come up with ourselves on our own. So we're just.
Well, that's the dumbest
Invention of
fucking thing I've
someone
ever
else.
heard.
He doesn't use social media. He's never tweeted, so he is a real man. They start talking cars, and I think this is actually the most interesting because everything he said was a disclosure back to classified, back to national security. So never a, but seeming legit. Talking about the OpenAI controversy, which killed us because I came in here on the post, Joe, and said he's got fired, and I think you said he got a new job, and then
No, I said they brought him back.
they brought him. It all happened so fast, but he says it's possible that AI has become
Sentient, and that
sentient and was like trying to hide it or something.
Sam Altman is an AI? Is that what they're
No,
saying?
what he was saying was his concern was that they knew they had sentient AI and that they ousted Sam Altman because they want to use it for nefarious things, where Sam Altman was keeping it in check, saying, we do have this, but we're not turning it on, sort of deal.
Yeah. I mean, maybe, sure. Sounds like a good movie.
Well, the whole thing was when you asked me, obviously I only report on headlines without any research, but like, what did he do? What was the lie? He said, I have no idea. He said, but if that seems like that's being buried in the whole hubbub story is what was he dishonest about? What was it?
Yeah, why was he ousted in the first place? Yeah.
And then it could either be, for someone to use it to their own advantage as long as they can. And who
it could have nothing to do with that.
Kumar,
it could have to do with like he was willing to do a project that was going to lose them money in the short term and gain them money in the long, and the board of directors didn't like that. It could, you know what I'm saying?
The interesting thing was that almost all the employees came forward, and were like, we're all going to walk out if you don't bring them back. So that tells me that it was probably something not as nefarious as...
Or maybe like somebody tried to like Me Too him or something, and
No,
exactly what you said. No, somebody lied about it,
Okay,
and
sure.
everybody stood up for him,
yeah.
you know? But it was like the perfect opportunity for the board to oust them. The board loves ousting these guys because then they don't have to follow their vision anymore. They can just make money.
Yeah.
But somehow if you realize it was on, turn it back off. And I think human nature would have to
Kumar, I told you, I
play
said,
with it all week. I don't even know.
I said this months ago. There's a chance that it is on and active and just living on the internet. Like, you know, whenever Joe talks about Russian troll farms, there's a good chance that there's Russian troll farms listening to these episodes and they're pointing fingers at each other like the Spider-Man meme. Like, was this you? And they're all like, no, we didn't do any fucking thing with the Christian Facebook pages.
It's already going.
Well, think about it.
That's immediately what it goes to is memes.
Let's say the wrong person got a hold of sentient AI and they were like, I want you to end humanity because I don't like this. I think we're bad.
One interesting thing I forgot to talk about this in my week was I was serving a function for a bunch of civil servants.
Yeah.
And they had a high up from the Bank of Canada doing
Okay.
a talk. And he said that Suncor, huge energy
insurance company, yeah.
No, energy in Alberta.
Suncor?
Yeah.
I'm thinking of Sun Life. Yeah.
Have AI trucks that are working right now collecting the bitumen. Because you can't have AI in a city.
Yeah, but if you have
But
all
if
the
you're
roads
just on
mapped
land
out,
and
yeah.
you're just doing it, they
Well,
do
if you're
exist.
building your own roads, AI cars are a breeze.
Of course.
And they exist. Like they're and he was saying one of the challenges with the AI incorporating is you have to be a Suncor that can spend $1 billion to get these trucks built and start using them instead of the whole infrastructure. A little small business can't spend that startup to if it would benefit, but it's the genies are the bottom of that aspect. We're not going to shut this down.
We're not shutting anything down.
And so who is to say what natural progress is?
Who's driving this train?
What is driving the truck?
Not me.
The evolution of communication.
No, we got to wrap this bad boy up.
Well, he's friends with Eric Weinstein. They both throw shade at Ian deGrasse Tyson.
Neil. Ian, his shitty brother, Ian deGrasse
I just
Tyson.
changed his name.
Have you met my brother Ian? He's a real piece of shit.
The moon is perfect for our life to
He's
exist.
a real nice guy, and everyone loves him.
The moon is perfect. Like it's part of our existence. If the moon wasn't there,
100%, like too perfect.
it
boggles the
It starts
mind.
to boggle the mind.
No, I'm telling you, when you start, forget even the moon, when you just start thinking that we're moving at a certain speed, like the earth is spinning,
Yeah.
and we're moving around the sun,
Yeah.
at the same time as we're spinning,
Yeah.
and the moon's moving around us, and other planets are moving around that. Like, it's just, you can't, that I get why when people start thinking like that, it just, there's like how small you become just becomes
Remember I was
too
telling-
much to handle.
Remember I was telling you about that guy online who does, he has Unreal Engine and it has the whole solar system.
Yeah.
And you can tweak things like you can.
Yeah.
It's interesting because when you start tweaking things even slightly, the whole thing goes out of balance. So I know for you, you're like, doesn't it just seem too perfect? It is, because I just think that it's taken millions and millions of years to get into this odd balance of.
And why could it not get out of balance then?
Well, it could.
This is what I was saying is this guy moves like this guy will move a moon. He'll move our moon slightly out of orbit, and the whole thing gets fucked. Yeah.
That's the thing. It's too crazily perfect. It doesn't. So
but it's like nature balancing itself out. That's how I look at it.
Apparently, our moon is because another planet got hit and broke by an asteroid, broke into pieces, and that little piece became our moon that sucked into our orbit. And because of that,
I thought it was part of the Earth,
or maybe it was a part of the Earth. Whatever it was. If that can happen, it can happen again. And next time it knocks it out of orbit and everything ends, like.
Well, it also explain why the moons of like Jupiter and Saturn are so much bigger. Because those planets are so big that they're likely just a chunk of that planet that got broken off. And to have 9 moons or 10 moons.
I mean, if that's the case, I don't know. Couldn't it just be anything that's in space that comes into a massive
thing that comes within its orbit? Yeah, it could be. Yeah, but I'm also saying that
I don't think they think every planet's moons are part of them.
I'm fine with that. But what I'm saying is, given the size of those planets, if something big enough did come in contact, it would break off a massive chunk, which could then become a moon, like Titan Titan's one of the big.
Yeah, the moons of Jupiter.
Yeah.
But like without, I don't know what planet it is, Kamar, either Neptune or Saturn or Jupiter. Without one of those planets, we're dead. Like it blocks so much crazy shit from coming into our atmosphere.
Do you know that sharks are older than the North Star and the rings of Saturn?
I mean, that can't be right.
You should save this for.
How can that be right?
Put a pin in it. Save it for the post, Joe.
You're saying the rings of Saturn are less than like
500 million years old.
Yeah.
Put a pin in this, and we'll save it for the post, Joe.
That can't be right.
He thinks people should have a say in what we know about aliens, UFOs, whatever. And he made the point that we trust the government and give them. You should have the right to disclose it because they can protect us. If there wasn't that sort of like the social contract, if they can protect us, then who are you to tell them what to do?
Yeah.
And I wonder why Elon is, trying to get spaceships if there is this interdimensional, like what he has against Eric Weinstein. Because I think that's where more David Grusch is with space travel or anything.
Yes, you are correct that the rings. Sorry, I thought you meant like Saturn itself.
No, the rings of Saturn.
The rings only came around.
But the North Star, sharks are older than Polaris.
I can't doubt a word you say because you're the trivia god.
Well, why?
Why would you
how
bring a false
do they
fact
know
to the
how
floor?
old Polaris is?
Carbon dating.
They can't.
No, we'll just Google it. Are sharks older than Polaris? It should come up.
Sonic resonance. Yeah. Surprisingly, this stuff, there were moments when he talked, you get into like the Eric Weinstein space, like, my brain can't, I thought I could follow. But still, like, there's no there.
It just sucks that he's so tied up by his not wanting to go to jail.
Yes. And the thing is, like, is there a deal where you could go to Russia?
Who wants to do that?
Edward Snowden did. I
don't think he did want to go to Russia.
It'd be cool if this guy was totally suicidal. It was like, I don't care.
Yeah.
You know what I
like
mean?
A Barry Seals type, just
let it
coked
burn.
out.
Yeah,
and fucking,
that'd be the best.
Give him all the
scenario.
secrets.
I give it a 3.5.
Well, the best really, Kamar, would actually no. I don't want to wish that on anyone. No, that's terrible. I was just going to say, like, if this guy was terminally ill and came on, he might then just be like, "Fuck this,
Nothing to live for.
fuck this."
Polaris is only 70 million years old, according to science. Which, I mean.
It's funny that you will. You know what's funny is you want to believe what you want to believe, which is that anything is possible.
Yeah.
But then I tell you something like that, and you're like, "Yeah, well, science doesn't."
Well, I'm having a hard time understanding how they would know when a star, like just because we can't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So
even
maybe
then, hold on.
Maybe they're
Hold on,
saying
stop.
when we can see it.
70 million years. When did we start seeing it? We're not even a fucking million years old. So there's the whole idea of like
We are not.
Yeah,
We are not. But
that's what I just
it
said.
doesn't mean that something wasn't able to see stars. You know?
You're right. So we have a record of a 70 million year old civilization that wrote down that Polaris wasn't there.
Do we?
No, that's my fucking point. I'm trying to back you up, and you're pushing back like a fucking dipshit.
Anyways.
Are you going to rate it? I'll give it a 3.5.
Yeah, I'll go with 3.5, but I really wasn't impressed by this episode at all.
We have an agreement. I think it could have been a higher rating had they not.
He had cancer.
No,
Stage
no,
5.
no, I just mean had he not been so tied up by not wanting to go to jail and maybe less AI talk. Like this guy, we didn't need to hear about AI. We just needed alien shit from this guy.
AI. If they had spent that whole second hour and a half talking about aliens or UFOs or whatever, Joe might have asked some smart questions that nobody else had asked before. But instead, he just made it all about
What
him.
if the AI is the bridge
Between aliens
UFOs
and us. Maybe.
That's interesting.
I mean, he's not wrong. Like AI could.
AI isn't this guy's thing.
No, I know.
Let's put it that way.
If they fed everything,
Stay in his lane.
Let's say AI was sentient and they fed AI everything they found from alien craft. So let's say now we don't know this. Let's say they opened up that craft and they found some writing, some hieroglyphs, something like that. They might be able to feed that into AI, and using all the Sanskrit and the math and everything, they might be able to say, this is the message that we've decoded from there.
That's cool.
But that's not going to happen. So who gives a fuck?
Well, maybe they've done that already.
It says we're coming.
It says we've been here all along.
That too. I mean, listen, I used to look at someone like David Icke and was just like, this guy's just a fucking total crackpot.
It was America all along. No, what is it? It was New York all along.
But it's one of those things where, like, now that I've heard all I've heard, I'm like, I don't know. Maybe the idea that, like, there are a few aliens that have been here for a very long time and are way smarter than us. Maybe they are controlling us. Who knows? I'm not going to say lizard people, but
maybe the aliens took out the dinosaurs to rid itself of their first project to make space for their new project to grow.
Sure.
But boom.
All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to pay a bill, and we'll be right back. We're back. Thank you so much to our sponsors. Be sure to go and check them out. There will be a link in the description. Kamar, can I get a name and a number?
26.5. 26.7.
Uns name and a number.
Dave Smith.
That was good, eh?
Yeah, it was.
Thanks, man. That's what you usually do.
Talking about wars.
War.
What is it good for? Absolutely nothing.
Say it again.
Well, it's good for the industrial complex to make lots and lots of money. That's how they should change that song. I don't know if it would be as catchy, but it would be way more accurate.
I agree.
And
It's true.
I'm fucking pretty
having a stroke?
on to the accuracy these days.
But I think the underlying tone of this podcast and the underlying
The underlying loan of this podcast?
underlying tone of wars is propaganda.
Yep.
100%, and it has been right from the start. I wonder if that goes back to like ancient times when it was, you had to come into town and just like all pomp and circumstance, or all pomp. And
No circumstance.
nobody knows that you have no army behind you, but if you come in big enough,
Yeah, I like that.
And that thing about people's initial response to traumatic violence.
Go on.
When 9/11 happens, whatever it takes, get those guys. October 7th happens, whatever it takes, get those guys.
Yeah.
And then, down the road, we see it rarely was the right thing to do.
Yep.
But we're no wiser for it.
Well, a couple weeks ago, Simon asked me what I would do. Remember, he said, "What would you have done?" And I said, "I would have done nothing." And you kind of laughed at me. Yeah, I genuinely think like do nothing. Like why right away too? You know what I mean? Like let cooler heads prevail.
I assume some of that is if you don't, you're leaving the door open for a second attack.
Yeah, but I think we know from past terror attacks, it's usually just the one. They're not prepared for.
This has happened every single time. Hamas does something horrible. Israel goes in. They take for a ceasefire, and it's like this seems like the time that Israel says we're not going to ceasefire or truce till they get rid of Hamas.
Well, there is a ceasefire right now.
Well, actually, the guy on the news today says truce. It's not a ceasefire, and the language is important.
Gotcha. Okay.
And all these protests, I was showing Simon, thousands of people were
In Ottawa.
downtown.
Yeah.
Tens, like a procession for 45 minutes. And for me, it's too well organized.
Why?
Just try to get someone out to an event. I guess it's a free event. That's one thing.
Yeah.
But I didn't hear about it. Did you know it was going to be happening?
You weren't invited.
No. How about this? So I go down to work every day to the same area. I come up from the train at the Charleroi there. I've never seen so many people with these flags and whatever going by. I had no idea. Like, it wasn't like tomorrow there will be this. So it was communicated to specific people. It wasn't just you weren't aware of it, were you?
No, but I'm not on a list of like future.
Yeah, I'm just saying the machine that got organized this rally together was very efficient.
I assume that if you're a part of a mosque, you probably got an email blast about it. You know,
Maybe,
what I mean?
okay.
I'm not being facetious.
No,
either.
I'm just wondering, like, how someone was very good at organizing a bunch of people for any cause to get that many people together. It was a lot of people. It went for like an hour.
I think you'd be surprised when it's like, you know what? I don't even want to. It's fine.
Dave described, I forgot the guy's name, who does a perfect breakdown of Israel and Palestine that is 20 hours long, and he called it the best. And I just don't think maybe it's interesting and objective, but that's not the best thing I could think of doing for 20 hours.
A whole day podcast? Jesus.
I think he's pointing out that, it's a complicated issue.
Oh, of course it's a complicated issue. Complicated, again, by propaganda. Yes. No one knows what they know is what they know.
On both sides, and propaganda
No one
to the rest
knows
of
what
the
they
world.
know is what they know.
Dave and Joe were suggesting that social media is a new way to fight back against propaganda. It was so much easier to do propaganda when
Social media is the new propaganda.
I was going to say, for the amount of fighting back you can do versus the amount of damage that it does for the purpose of propaganda.
It's not a push.
I think we're better off without it.
Yeah.
In that case.
I agree.
It has become
The
like
propaganda machine.
and so much more impactful to the young populace, to everybody, than the old television and newspapers could have ever hoped to have been. Like,
Well, it was interesting when
instantaneous news.
when they showed that old like Disney thing with the Jewish wolf. Remember when Jamie was like, "Where would you have watched this?" Like, that was a great question, because I was like, "Yeah, where would they have presented
movie
this to
theater.
you?" And it was
At
like,
the
"Oh yeah,
movie
at the
theater,
movie
yeah.
theater." We're like,
Where tons of people didn't go to see it.
exactly. Now it's like, dude, everyone opens everyone takes a shit in the morning, and you open your phone and you spend fucking 10, 15 minutes scrolling through propaganda.
But Dave's idea, if you were to show someone 100 years ago a movie today,
Oh yeah, it would blow their mind.
well, just the setup that would do it, but they would think it was real.
Come on, some of the television now looks way more high budget than any movie what's wrong?
What? Why is there a plug on the ceiling?
I had them put in there because I'm gonna put the lights on the ceiling eventually. I just haven't gotten around to it.
Gotcha. Interesting.
What a weird segue.
unusual
Yeah, you
time.
just yeah,
Sorry.
very interesting.
Back to the regular scheduled broadcast.
Staring at the fire.
Has that chandelier always been here? Yeah.
I notice things.
You do, yeah. You're very observant.
Thank you.
Felt like there's a little pushback from Joe on Elon's action with the anti-Semitism ACLU.
Well, good for Joe. At least he pushes back a tiny bit against fucking maniac boy. Like, listen, when you're that high profile a person,
Yeah.
you have to watch what you say a little bit. You can't,
You probably should.
Your words carry weight, and it's not good form to be like, oh shit, sorry. Should have thought about that one for 10 minutes before I posted. Probably would have been able to figure out I was, maybe not in this case, but whatever, supporting somebody I didn't think I should be support, whatever the case is.
Again, wasting
Take a
his time
beat.
on rockets
Take a beat.
when we know it's interdimensional.
And like, if you're so fucking busy with car companies and rockets and tunnels and space travel, just give Twitter a rest. Like, you own it.
Yeah.
You don't need to partake in it.
It's true. But he is the most followed person on
jerk
Twitter, and
off.
he has a pretty big ego. So
It's like, what's his name? Never even had an iPhone.
Steve Jobs.
Yeah. Okay. Act like you've been there before. Elon, you fucking clown.
Which led into gun control. Do you guys think there's anything that we put people in jail in that they shouldn't be put in jail in?
What the fuck? Are
I
you
don't
talking
like
about?
when he does this. He asks the most redundant question in the history
Well,
of
no,
man.
they were saying guns.
Drugs.
It's different
Kamar.
here.
Do you think
Drugs.
people shouldn't be
Drugs.
put in jail? For the people shouldn't be
Sex
put in
work.
jail.
Non-violent crimes.
Well, what do you mean non-violent crimes? Like if you rob my home, you should
You
go to
should still
jail.
go to
That's a
jail,
non-violent crime.
Yeah,
That's
so what are
violence.
you
That's
thinking
violence.
nonviolent, just out of curiosity?
Yeah. Because like we all agree that
Do you
drugs.
mean like blue collar crime?
I think that's even worse.
Well,
But keep in
this
mind,
is-
I want to make this clear though. When I say I think like drugs should be legal, I also don't think that public, other than weed, public drug use should be legal.
and it doesn't
think someone should go to
necessarily mean
jail?
that drug
Not go to-
dealers should exist.
I'm not saying you should go to jail, but you need to curb people openly fucking smoking meth and crack and fentanyl in the streets. Yes, you need
Give
to
them
do.
tickets they'll never pay.
No, well, that doesn't work either. But you need to do something. You can't just let it happen.
Yeah, well, the whole argument is caged person.
Sorry.
Lock someone up.
What
is
we
what he said.
decide to take away someone's freedom.
I mean, keep in mind though, Kamar, like we also lock people up for short sentences as a way to say like you don't want to be here. Stop doing dumb shit. So I don't know. At a certain point, like if someone's going to continually, like here's a good example: 3 tickets for public drug use, and on the 4th, you do some jail time.
But like,
Three strikes, you're out.
somebody drinks and drives and kills somebody,
That's a violent
they
crime.
should probably go to jail, you know.
But we would all agree that's a violent crime.
I wonder.
Anywho.
No, I don't wonder. That's
Well,
a violent crime.
Ideally, that person suffers with that, regardless of incarceration for the rest of their life.
Yeah, that's not enough
Well,
for me.
you hope.
Yeah.
Maybe they're fucking
So that's why I got locked up.
sociopath.
That's why I
and
got
they're
locked up
just
to make
like-
sure.
I mean, listen,
Couldn't
Kamar,
give a
I'm
fuck.
with you. Like, I don't want first of all, the idea of prison should be to reform someone. The idea should be, that
There
they
should
come out a better
probably be
person.
less raping in prison.
Well, yeah, sure. It's a weird direction to go. Back to Dave Smith, though. I
Well,
don't know
no,
how we got on
meaning
prisons.
you lose your freedom while you're in prison, but
Yeah.
you're not going to go in there and become like a way more hardened criminal because some dude's fucking you up the ass all the time and you're constantly like worried about getting shanked and shit.
Yeah. Like, I think if you don't have your high school and you go to jail, it should be mandatory.
Yeah, they should probably make it. They have you there. They're making the rules.
That's
Make
what I'm
it so
saying.
you have to go to school every day.
That's
Yeah.
something to look
Make
forward
it
to.
so you have to learn a trade. So when you get outside, and not just like making license plates, because that's not going to translate to the outside world, you know,
Teach them how to be a plumber, something we fucking need.
Then,
or to code, Matt.
There you go.
then he broke down just how tax dollars go to special interest groups, constantly extracting money from it, making wealth off of nothing.
Yeah.
Versus building a factory that makes something that someone needs, contributing to the cycle of inflation. The stuff should get cheaper.
Yeah, but that's not how.
That's not how it's working because all these entities. There's actually a story I was going
Because of mass capitalism, but in a more perfect society, yeah, you're absolutely right. When we innovate like that, when we make things easier, and look, I'm not saying we should do this, okay? We should be making everything at home. But if you are going to farm it out to places like China, it should become infinitely cheaper. It did. And then all those savings go to pad the pockets of the corporations, and you don't see a fucking inch of space.
I read the other day the price of diapers within 6 months went up 7%. But the price of manufacturing diapers actually went down 25% during that time.
It's so pathetic.
While it's happening, we might as well get in on this.
Well, what's crazy too is like, you know, like McDonald's right now is under a lot of fire because people are like, we went to McDonald's because it was a cheap alternative, and now it's not at all. And McDonald's makes tons of fucking bread. And I was thinking about it. I was like, the price is never going back down. Like McDonald's is never going to give you this is the price of McDonald's now moving forward.
No, theoretically, in theory, every year our dollar should be getting stronger and stronger so that they're never going to go down in price, but your dollar will be worth more. It's the opposite.
Well, it's like what he said. Like if you're dumb, if you just have $1 million sitting in a bank account, that's the worst thing you could do because you're losing.
You
money.
have to go gamble it.
Well, here's something so interesting about the banking system. Okay, so I was thinking, as Joe was saying, or as Dave was saying, if you got if you and 100 friends all bank at the same bank, and you guys got together one day and were like, we're gonna run this bank. We're gonna go in there and we're gonna tell them we want our money right now, or within 5 days, or whatever it is. There's no way they could cover that money. I mean, it would have to be more than 100 people. You see what I'm saying? But none of you would ever do that, because the second you do that, you bankrupt the bank and nobody gets their money. Your money is gone as well. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like this built-in, because otherwise, why aren't people just doing that all the time? You want to stick it to the man? Fucking get together and go. Everybody get their money out of a bank. It'll crash the whole thing.
There's a very famous old quote. I can't remember whose quote it is, but it's something along the lines of like, the only thing more dangerous than a standing army is banks.
Okay.
My point about this.
What does that mean exactly? It's just more dangerous?
Yeah, well, the whole point was like, if we think about it, dude, the banks have taken over. They own everything.
Yeah,
they own every home. They control everything. Their profits every year are insane. They used to offer you interest, even on a small amount of money. Like my first TD account, if I had $400 in there, I'd go get the fucking bank book printout, and it would be like you gained $1.
Well, you can get banking like that. Like when I had money in the bank because we sold our house.
Sure.
I just had it in an account that I couldn't use, and it made not a lot of it, but it did. It was like $1,000 a month or whatever.
Yeah, but that's on how much money? Like
it's on a lot of money. I'm just saying you can. There are ones that do. The normal
like
checking account you use doesn't.
But like you said, though, I can't touch that money. So the bank is lending 90% of your money out and making a ton of fucking bread off of it.
You could touch the money. This was a different one. Anyways, I hear what you're saying.
It's ridiculous.
The whole idea of the bank is ridiculous. The fact that they don't have your money. I assume that the original idea of a bank was, I don't want to keep my money at home because I don't want to protect it with my life.
It was actually gold.
I'm going to, whatever it was, I'm going to give it to you. You're going to protect my money for a fee. That's the... right? But when my money is physically there, it's not shipped out to a different location. It's there. And when I want it, I go get it and our deal is over.
So you're close. How it started was that gold was just very heavy, cumbersome. So places offered like vaults.
Yeah.
Like where it's protected.
But I imagine it was more than just heavy. Like I said, you don't want that, like, because then anybody can come and just steal your gold. You know?
No, but it's also very heavy. But this is how paper money started as well. So the bank would give you a note that said, you have this much gold.
Right.
And then you could go and trade that note to someone else, and then they could go and get some of your gold.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And then
that makes sense.
And then those guys that held all the gold started loaning some of that gold out.
Well, that's where you get into trouble.
Well, that's where we are.
I was thinking all this propaganda.
Yeah.
Wars.
Propaganda. Yeah.
Climate change. Woke stuff. If all that stuff didn't exist, all we'd be left with is this crazy financial system.
Yeah.
So I think the banks are behind it all as well.
Yeah.
Well, you guys just articulate it so well.
I mean, we all agree. Well,
we know that there's
I don't
we know
know
that there's 3 hedge funds that control the world: State Street, BlackRock, and Vanguard. Like they own.
If there was no toil and stuff for us to fret about, they would be exposed as the big problem.
If Yeah, okay.
Have you guys seen It's a Wonderful Life?
We're not doing that, are we? Didn't they name 100 other movies? Dog Day Afternoon.
With Jimmy.
Just one thing. As he was talking about the banking system, I've never in my life been more happy to be dead broke.
Yeah.
Because I was like, well, I have $0 in the bank, so you could fucking close that shit up tomorrow and it would make a goddamn
Dude, I make
difference
sure that
to
I
me.
sit in the negative so that if I die, that I don't know the bank. I've got them.
We don't have to do it. It's a Wonderful Life.
We'll do it.
The whole movie is about
Banking.
selling as propaganda the idea of fractional reserve banking being a good thing.
Yeah.
And then what did they show after that? Because now that I think about it, they would always use movies and TVs to push the next thing they wanted to push to the world, right? Like that makes sense.
Seems that way, yeah.
What better way to do that than find some movie that people call a Christmas classic? So you watch it every year, and it is this little tidbit about why you continue to pay taxes, you know? It's
true.
It's like crazy.
And there's the pattern of propaganda.
They want
that
you
was
to
it,
go
Simon.
to war. They released Top Gun.
Simon,
know?
it was it was the Daffy Duck pay your taxes video that they showed.
Exactly,
remember?
exactly. And
Because of the war effort, you want to make sure that you pay those income taxes on time.
when I heard that, I had like a flashback to how many times Disney would do that.
Yeah.
It happened a lot on their we would watch Disney on Sunday nights. Did you ever watch Disney on Sunday nights?
No, on like CBC.
Yeah. And
No.
sometimes they would show like an old cartoon. Sometimes they'd watch a movie. Anyways, you'd see them on there. And then you think back to like, first of all, the fact that Walt Disney was a giant Nazi and that he was working with Werner von Braun to try and tell us that we would all be traveling in space. So they released those movies trying to get us used to that. I think they actually thought we were going, like when we went to the moon, I think they genuinely thought after that it was like open space travel was going to occur.
Was it way harder to, question that kind of propaganda?
I just never did. I never even realized it was propaganda. Like as a kid, you don't realize that shit. And then you just go on thinking that like the best thing to do is be like Scrooge McDuck, you know?
Well, it's ironic too, because as you get older, they still use those like they were like, why would they use a cartoon for adults? But it's like, well, it's simple because as a kid, that was like a recognizable, trusted, Donald Duck.
Yeah, right.
Oh, I should pay my taxes. Yeah. You know what? Donald's right.
Yeah.
He never led me astray.
Eat sugar cereal. Tony the Tiger said so.
Yeah,
He's
great.
in great shape.
Yeah.
But now you could find out that message was constructed by the CIA and passed off to Disney Studios.
100%. And when you look at things like Tony the Tiger and that kind of thing, and then you think about our food pyramid and how the whole thing was like a total farce made up by the sugar companies, and that's in the cartoons. Like, dude, they have been fucking with us right from the start. Like I said, fluoride in the water, blocking your third eye.
Right from the start.
Teaching you to pay taxes, teaching you to be a slave right from the beginning. And you're just happy to do it as long as you eat your McNuggets and you watch your Disney. Mic drop.
Are we doing It's a Wonderful Life?
You've seen it, right?
Unfortunately, every year.
It's the JRE movie game. The time has come again. For Matt and Simon, two rags that brings together the budget in the box office. We all know they won't guess the year, and the Patreons are the real winners here at the JRE movie game. Come on, take it away, baby.
It's the movie game where Matt and Simon go head to head to find out what year movie came out, how much it cost to make, and how much it made at the box office. I'm telling you, this is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Like, Simon, what do we even do here? Like, where are you going?
I have no idea. I'm stuck on the year. I don't know if it was made to look old or if it really is old.
Dude, I have no idea.
Because first of all, as you know, I didn't celebrate. I don't even know if I want to admit this anymore. I don't celebrate Christmas, but I do now. So I watch all the Christmas movies with my family.
Okay.
So One of my favorites to watch with them was Christmas Story. Do you know that one? He gets the red rifle BB gun.
Yeah.
I genuinely thought that was an old movie, like a movie from the 60s or 70s. It's just a newer movie made to look old.
Yeah.
And I was totally fooled, so I could be fooled easily.
Gotcha.
So
I'm gonna have to
nothing's
go
going
with
good for a guy.
this. Okay.
He goes to kill himself, and the angel comes to him and goes through what life will be without him.
Yeah. Are you ready, Matt?
Yeah.
What do you got?
I said
For
it
a
came out
year.
in 1934.
Whoa, I said 1969.
1946.
Oh, I'm so off. Well, you're off too, but you're way more in the ballpark. Okay, so I'll go first then, Matt. I said it cost $1 million to make, which now I think is insane. And it made $20 million, which seems even crazier.
Okay, well, since I was a little closer on the year, I said it cost $250,000 to make,
That seems better.
and that it made $16.4 million.
No, that's way too much. It's got to be way less than that. Go
We'll
ahead.
see.
Kumar.
Budget.
What was the year?
Oh,
So he said it, 46.
Oh, 46. Thank you.
you haven't done your. Well,
Yeah, he did. He did his year. He
my
said
bad.
67 or whatever. It's fine. I'm on top of it, Kamar.
budget $3.18 million.
Wow.
So I said one. What did you say?
I'm not even close.
Oh, not even close.
Box office $3.3 million.
What in the fuck?
It was
Oh,
a
it was
com-
definitely a propaganda
it was a
movie then.
complete bomb.
100%. Yeah.
It was a
just
complete
the-
bomb.
The banking system was like, we'll throw $3 million at this, no problem.
It was a complete bomb at the time.
I bet it's made $10 billion.
Why
off of
wouldn't it
fucking-
be? Who wants to go see a movie about taxes?
But
How the
do
banking
I-
system works.
Let's get
tell
the
you-
kids together and go see this fractional banking reserve film.
So wait, it wasn't even popular back in the day. Is this a case of like them making it popular? Like, let's make this a holiday classic that everyone thinks they have to watch.
Yeah. That.
It's propaganda.
It's like if you found out that like Frosty the Snowman was about transgender.
no,
you
it's
know,
about
becoming
industrial factory workers.
No, but I'm saying, there was
Yeah.
some. Oh my God. The Island of Misfit Toys. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is all about immigration.
100%.
What did I see the other day? If Santa knew who was naughty and nice, then he must have known Rudolph was getting bullied.
It's tearing my head apart thinking about how It's a Wonderful Life is just means so much to me.
Yeah, that's gotta suck, dude.
Just in Santa's defense, Matt.
Yeah.
He doesn't keep track of the animals. They don't get presents.
okay, yeah.
It's children,
Gotcha.
humans.
Yeah.
So he probably didn't know.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
God gave us freedom.
Just in case you're going to
Governments
write a
control
joke, I want you to.
I'm not. You know, I'm not writing a joke. Go ahead, Kumar.
Sorry.
God gave us.
God, the Creator, gave us freedom.
Yeah.
And then governments control that
Control God or freedom?
freedom. That's sort of their function. How
But
powerful?
did God give us freedom? Because he left a shitload of rules.
I just don't know why he made us different.
You mean rules of like gravity?
No, I mean rules like don't fuck your wife's or your neighbor's wife.
Oh, we don't know if God actually left those
Oh,
rules,
okay.
or if the people who worship God decided
Oh,
those
fair
were
enough.
the rules.
And so the churches and monarchs would have controlled the propaganda. Like just going back, how easier it is to question something, cross-reference something with social media.
The churches would have controlled all the propaganda at one point because everybody went to
Sunday,
church every Sunday. You would get the message. You would then bring that to the people who didn't go to the church. That would have been a really good way to go about propagizing.
Propagazing.
Propagizing.
It's sort of like they were talking about reefer madness.
Yeah.
Was able to go viral to scare a generation up until this point, where it's still weird. People pinch themselves.
Now that we
smoke
know
weed.
about Wonderful Life being a banking movie, what other movies out there fucked
Probably a
with
bunch.
us and we didn't even realize?
I also
Probably
like
a
Citizen
ton.
Kane, but I think that's one for the good guys.
Who knows?
That was like a big short of the time.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah.
So
Anything that Kubrick made would have had some like
well,
meaning
you hope,
for
yeah,
the people.
yeah. All Kubrick's
message for
movies
us.
feel like it's a good guy. That's one for the good guys.
But then you find out that he faked the moon landing, so you're like, well, what the fuck?
Yeah, but he was trying to tell us he did.
in his movies.
Yeah. Like if the government makes you do something, you're going to do it, right?
I mean, I don't know if they could have made him do it, but
It would appear it all went wrong in World War One when Woodrow Wilson decided to go in, because you got to think about, they were just coming off the heels of the eradication of the native people. They had a taste
They had
for how
their
the war
own-
machine works.
their own Holocaust going on over here.
And so he went in, and you would say, to speak, that's now why we're here. A country getting involved in other countries' dispute, right?
Yeah.
Like that wasn't happening before that.
What do you mean? From other countries or from the U.S.?
It was Germany fighting Britain,
Yeah.
and everyone else is like, well, whatever. We're behind them, so we're against them. But then someone coming over and putting their finger on the scale or whatever, even if it's the Allies doing it for a good thing, but it hasn't served us if it's gotten us to this point that we're almost at, as they were saying, the next World War. Foreign intervention never works.
Doesn't seem
Foreign
to.
intervention
Hasn't.
right from the beginning is what you're saying.
From this point, from Woodrow Wilson getting.
But
into
hold
the
on.
war.
Theoretically, the intervention during World War II, that was a good thing. Unless you're pro-Nazi.
Well, maybe that wouldn't have happened if not for World War One. So, World War One just has started this perpetual war economy.
Is that foreign intervention, though, or is that joining a war in progress?
Well, I think it was inadvertent foreign intervention, meaning that they weren't going over there to save the Jews. They weren't going to free people in concentration camps. They were going to.
Well, no one could know. Well, they couldn't do that because they didn't know it existed.
That's also true. Man.
Assuming they didn't.
Yep.
Yeah. Then yes, they're
I
just there to
guess.
fight an evil. But I guess you're right. It is foreign
But
intervention.
were
yeah.
they there to fight an evil? They were there.
Well, we always thought it was
Why-
because they got attacked, but then we
they
found out that
didn't.
Hawaii wasn't even theirs.
This is what I mean.
But they were attacked because it was their military base,
no,
one
no,
way
no.
or the other.
That's what I'm saying. So do they join the Europe invasion after?
Yes, after Pearl Harbor.
So it wasn't for like a righteous
Altruistic,
reason.
no.
It was because they were pulled into the war.
Yes.
Because they had this Hawaii, which they called their own.
Not yet.
It was one of their. If somebody went to war against Hawaii, they were going to step into the war. That's what happened. That's why they had it there as an excuse to go to war. No,
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean-
I don't know. I don't know. I'm just a guy on a podcast
That's
about
all.
nothing.
Seinfeld over here.
So Dave suggests that they have to let Gaza be free, and as far as the settlements on the other side, because that's in the Gaza Bank.
The West Bank.
I don't think anyone in Israel is trying to move into Gaza. It's on the
West
north
Bank.
of Gaza. They have to just buy those people out. I mean, that's fair, right? Don't kick someone out, but that seems reasonable to me. Rather than all the military stuff they do there.
You know, I was thinking about the land claim and that the Jews were there first. It's Abraham and Jacob, right? Jacob's Abraham's son. Jacob is the one that the 12 tribes of Israel come from.
Jacob and what's his name are the sons of Abraham. That sounds right.
Yeah, but so
Abraham is the son of Moses. Is that right?
I don't know, but I'm pretty sure Abraham was an Iranian Muslim.
Oh, that I don't know.
Okay, either way, who cares?
Well,
Why
then
are we
no-
still, I can't believe we're still.
Because they were talking about the Shia hospital.
Yeah,
And then the prime minister said, we know there's a bunker under there because we built it.
Yeah.
And she was like, you know, no. I'm so confused. And it's, like he said, very complicated.
Well, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious at this point that Netanyahu's regime is corrupt, and
He's been indicted.
he's now built up. It's the U.S. all over again. He built up his
100%.
enemy. They got out of control, and now everybody's suffering for it. It's like
And he
He
holds,
was about to be ousted.
he
too.
holds on to
it's
power.
mirror image. Matt, the day before 9/11, they admitted to losing $6 trillion. I'm sorry, $6 trillion. Like they're mirror images of each other. I don't know. But, and again, the people suffer for it.
Yeah.
Like with these dictatorial governments who don't have their people's best interest in heart, like on both sides.
and muddled more by propaganda.
Spitty Simon over there.
I cannot believe we cannot
Felt
figure
like
out
Kamar for a second.
the Emperor's tomb or need to know what that
Emperor's
means.
tomb.
The rivers of Mercury. Like that could all be propaganda from 5,000 years ago. You don't remember that with the
Yeah, I do remember.
terracotta? Have you seen it?
I have seen it.
You went?
No, I have never
You've
been.
seen it though? You've seen it? Okay,
Yeah.
so we all
I
know what I'm
haven't been
talking
there.
about.
What do you mean? He hasn't seen it.
I haven't been there. I saw it on the YouTube.
Yeah, I've seen it.
We've
I
all
haven't been
seen
there.
it on
Yeah.
YouTube.
It's a wonder
haven't
of the
been there.
world.
None of us have been there.
Well, you really haven't.
No, but neither of you.
Yeah, but I could have.
But you didn't.
Yeah.
But did they?
And who knows how far you were from that?
What do you mean? When I was in Thailand? Is that what you're referring to?
No, didn't you land in like China for a night? Or,
Oh, I was in China for
six,
a couple hours.
6 minutes
Yeah.
or something.
No, a couple hours. Just enough time to hate China.
the
Just enough time to form a totally wrong
the
opinion.
the tomb is in a
Precisely.
building.
Okay.
Agreed.
I presumably
Oh, so you haven't seen it.
So I mean, so you needed Nico Collins?
did I or Paku Nukua? I can't remember.
Go ahead, Kamar. We're listening.
Yeah, we are listening.
It's in a building.
Yeah, it's in a building.
So they found the site.
Yeah.
That was buried like your.
They
Gobekli
found
Tepe.
all the warriors.
Yeah.
It was buried,
Okay.
and then they found the site, and then they built buildings around it.
Yeah.
And have been excavating it.
Yeah.
Correct.
And who knows what tunnels it's supposed like. It's something like the pyramid, sort of.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
What are you saying? Are you telling us? Are you asking us? Or you
it's
want to have a
almo-
conversation
No,
about it?
it's almost like a marvel. Like, how could human beings do this?
Oh my God,
2,000 years
it's
ago?
one of a zillion of them.
Okay,
like,
okay. I didn't know it was on your radar. Apparently, it's this is new news about
you
the
haven't
rivers
seen
of Mercury.
the fucking terracotta warriors?
I've seen it,
Okay.
but it's
Until they talked about this, you had never seen the terracotta warriors.
they found out about the terracotta warriors in 1967,
Okay.
and much like they've been almost treating it like
Gobekli Tepe.
or no
Gobekli
a
Tepe.
UAP. Like we have this thing, but we're not going to go in there. Could you imagine?
I mean, are the Chinese not going in there?
Apparently not. That's what this whole thing is. Like, they don't want people to die, but can we make suits or contain the mercury? Or is it all propaganda?
This sounds to me like they're finding all sorts of shit in there and they're telling everybody, oh, we can't go
Okay,
in
okay,
because
yeah,
of the
yeah,
mercury.
yeah,
You're just you get duped all the time and you don't even know that
Propaganda.
you're getting duped.
Well, can you believe that there's places inside the pyramid they know is there, but they haven't seen yet?
I mean, we know that some people have seen them.
Yeah, I refuse to believe no one's been down there.
Zari Hawass there, he always would say, no, there's no tunnel that goes from like the Sphinx's head to wherever. And then they find a picture of him in that tunnel, like, hey! So like somebody gets in there. I mean, the chasm underneath the paw of the Sphinx that they found using LiDAR, they think maybe
But they haven't excavated it.
they haven't gone in.
So-
Hold on a second. Presumably, according to us, or according to what we know, nobody has gone in there. That doesn't mean that Zawi Hawass doesn't have a tunnel leading up to there, that he has the key to the door that only he knows where it is, because that's how fucking Egypt works. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, it's sort of like a weird thing with like, oh, this ancient painting, preserve this ancient building. Even though we're building a rocket to try to get off the planet, we might as well just bash all this stuff open and find out everything there is to do. Or is there an importance in?
Well,
not
no, you want
knowing?
to. Why would you want to? You want to crack open all of them, all of the terracotta warriors?
No.
No,
He doesn't want to
no.
crack open the warriors.
It'd be
He's
the
just
tomb.
saying nobody's going into this burial tomb, if that's even what it is.
They could have riches, writings, information.
It could have the secret to curing diseases. It could have anything. But that's what I'm saying. I don't think that nobody is going in there. I think governments do
Yeah,
what they
I
want to
agree.
do. And then some of them
No,
can't do
absolute-
what they want to do because they don't
absolutely.
have the money. China isn't one of them. They have money coming out the yin yang. But let's say you're Turkey, okay, and you're not the richest country in the world, and you can't afford to do your own excavations.
Yeah.
But you also don't want to let another country come in there and do it for you, because then you have to, I guess, I don't know, share the glory. I
Well,
have
it's
no
information
idea.
too, though. If that cure for cancer's in there, they want to be the
I mean, you'd think you could make a deal with, like, look, if the Brits want to come or the Americans want to come and do the research, but you get the rights to the.
I guess maybe,
But who
but do you
knows?
trust them?
Maybe money just drives the whole thing, and there's no way you'd even get a group in there in the first place if it wasn't for, like, we're hoping on finding, a mammoth buried in ice and then using its DNA to fucking.
Yeah.
If we
cure
really cared
hair
though,
loss
if
or
we really
something.
cared though,
Imagine everybody just had mammoth hair. Like, that would be a great set of locks.
do you think it'd be possible?
Nothing thicker than a mammoth mane. Dude, that's good, eh?
yeah mammoth mane. Great name too.
Do you
MM.
think it would be possible to take the pyramids apart?
No,
To take them apart. Yeah, I think you could probably take them apart if you had like a giant, like the
What, like using
robotic
a crane?
arm that's on the space shuttle, but way bigger.
A giant crane, just one block at a time,
One
guess that
block
would
at a
work,
and
time.
like doing it out like.
Well, I don't believe there's any like mortar holding it together or anything. I think it's just
sitting on itself.
sitting on itself.
Take the whole thing apart like a CSI that it no longer exists. That'd be a crime against humanity.
Well, I mean,
I guess it would take 1,000 years to do that.
I think there are other ways you can do it without having to take the whole building apart.
Well,
You LiDAR the whole thing. You find out where the chasms are. You go through in the most unobstructive way possible. But look,
so we're just waiting for technology to. We could just find out. But
when you
we
go
don't wanna
into the
disturb it.
pyramids right now, there are all sorts of tunnels that people go through on the tour
Yeah.
that were carved out by robbers at one point, grave robbers, and that's now the tunnel that you use because the other one has been crumbled or what? Who fucking knows? That happens all the time. So you don't even know that you're walking through a thing that wasn't original.
And so we're just sitting on our hands saying we're at an impasse for what we know. They still don't know about the tools or how they did it, right?
I mean, we don't know much.
And we've just decided that's where we're going to be unless something
We don't
comes
know
along
much.
that tells us more. Or we could just take this all apart and find out.
And we can never take it all apart. Kamar, the whole world is littered with these things. You were talking about the China emperor or whatever. You go to every country from Bosnia all the way to fucking Antarctica. They're finding ancient structures. It just doesn't even make sense. Like it literally, the whole world is littered with them.
And the vase,
The oceans everywhere.
The vase is significant because it's just a vase.
which one? The Brian Marasco?
Yeah.
You're talking about the Egyptian ones?
No, the ones they made like the ergot shit in.
No. I think I'm talking
You're
about
talking about perfect symmetry.
perfect
Oh,
symmetry
those, yeah,
vase.
sorry.
That's in ancient
Don't
Egypt.
have to have been born out on a lathe or something.
It would require tools that they didn't believe that they had at
but
the
it's
time.
just a vase.
It's just a
There's
vase.
more important things in a vase.
But they took great pride in making things like statues, Kamar, statues' faces. And when you look at them, the oldest ones have the most amazing symmetry that the other ones don't have. And perfect symmetry.
Later on.
Perfect symmetry, Kamar, that you get from like copying a photograph on each side. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like they weren't doing, not theoretically, according to history, they weren't doing things like that back in the day. And yet the products they were coming out with show a different story.
Propaganda.
Propaganda.
Again.
All propaganda.
Going back millions of years. Like, think about it. They don't want you to know anything about anything for real.
I agree.
We currently,
What does that tell you, though? Sorry, Kamar. When the powers that be, the people that theoretically control you, I don't know why I keep saying theoretically, The people who actually control you, they
Yeah.
make the laws, they do all of that shit.
Yeah.
They are intent on hiding almost everything from you because apparently if you even understood how your own banking system works, you too would want to overthrow your government.
Yeah.
That's really what it is, right? So when they came and started this great experiment, it was like, how are we going to fuck everybody over?
Yeah. And they've succeeded.
Were there good times though when it first started, or was it just right away? You think?
No, the 50s was good.
Was it?
Yeah, a lot of people in the lower class went to the middle class. A lot of the middle class moved up, for sure.
Again, all being driven by a machine that now is the problem.
Yeah.
It was just the beginning steps of it, so they couldn't see how.
No, it's because they deregulated everything.
I wonder if they never send everything off to China, like all of that.
Yeah.
That changes everything almost, right? Like everybody here continues to grow strong.
Probably.
People
Yeah.
work for companies that are now massive, right? Like imagine you work for Ford
Yeah.
or whatever, some company that's now like not as good as it was, but they would be way better because they wouldn't be competing against, and you just don't let Chinese cars be sold here.
There was a line from The Wire. What did he say? He's like, we used to make things in this country. Now we just reach into the next guy's pocket.
Sounds about right.
We currently are existing, and there's people who have cell phones and people who are living with spears.
Yeah. But I think it's always been the way.
I mean, look, at the same time, Kamar, you live in the city and you have septic system that attaches to the sewers, and you have whatever. And I live a little further out, and we have a well and a thing. Both those things exist at the same time in 2023. You know what I mean? It's not that crazy. That doesn't seem like the Earth is a big place.
Yep.
And I watch a lot of Naked and Afraid.
We know.
And yeah,
We're well aware.
as you know. When you see the jungles and the places of wildness in this world, like there's still untouchedness everywhere.
Look at our country.
Look at our country. Like we are,
We live
haven
predominantly
for-
along the border.
for Bigfoot. Like, why do you think that is? Because there is so much space for him to roam free.
What else you got for Dave, Kamar? We got to wrap him up pretty soon.
The news right now is, as they are prosecuting Donald Trump, reporting that if Donald Trump becomes president, he'll do what's happening right now.
Yeah.
Just that weird. People have to disconnect there.
Do you think
Mm-hmm.
that if Donald Trump was the president today, these wars would not be happening?
Yes.
Okay, I purposely asked Matt
sorry.
because we already know your answer.
Well, I assume you're talking about the Ukraine, because Israel would be going the same.
If Donald Trump had never become like the adversary of the system, if he had gone in there and just they had never done like Russiagate and stuff,
Sure.
do you think he would have just been brought into the fold and right now we would still be fighting the same wars we're fighting and all of that stuff?
I don't know. I know that if Trump was president, they wouldn't have helped Ukraine as much as they have, because we know that he is a pro-Putin guy. I'm not saying that he was in collusion with him, but I think he wouldn't have wanted to go to war or aided in a war. I think what's going on in Israel would have been the same. The U.S. always supports Israel, bar none.
I think he's more of a negotiator than a bully, like people say he is, say, in that arena.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I don't think
make deals.
I don't think Trump could go in and make this thing better.
I mean,
all I'm saying.
Biden is clearly just a figurehead for the military-industrial complex.
Yep.
If Trump was not that, then we have to assume that it would have been different. Who knows if it would have been better or worse, but it would have been different.
Yeah.
They showed, or they talked about Zelensky asking for credit. And I'm here like, I thought the whole thing was credit. Because they're saying we have massive deficits in our Canadian military.
Okay, what? Start again. The credits for what?
I thought we were lending Ukraine money. Or this is sort of like,
We were lending them money?
it was some sort of deal where we'd get, we're just giving billions of dollars away for
Yeah.
good luck with this.
Yeah. What, you thought we were loaning it to them?
Yes, yes.
Oh, I don't think so. if they lose the war?
Yeah, how do we ever
they
get
pay
paid?
us
Even if
back?
they win the
Even
war.
if they win the war, how do they pay us
I was
back?
hoping it's
Unless they can go into Russia and take all their money to pay us back, I guess.
That's not happening.
No,
So-
the U.S. also doesn't get their money back.
they will have to negotiate with Putin and get a worse deal than they would have had at the time. It's sort of depressing, but it seems like we have the power because of social media. It's no longer mainstream media. It's corporate media versus independent media.
I like that. That is interesting. It is corporate media.
It's the power to push back.
I mean, what is mainstream now, though? Like,
There's more voices for more dissent versus
no, what I'm saying
40
though, is
years
like,
ago, everyone just went along with whatever because there was no other voices.
I'm taking what he's saying and extrapolating deeper, though. I don't think there is a mainstream anymore. Maybe when there comes to music, there's pop music, but I don't think like now everyone just kind of does whatever. There's a niche for everything.
Under our influence of propaganda of how the world works.
Well, no,
There
propaganda
ABC
is
is,
different.
News,
there is
NBC
a
News.
mainstream though. Like where's Logan Paul? Those guys are mainstream, you know. So
Well, you're just talking about like someone that's known by everyone. Is that what you mean?
well, they're
Like
known
Ronaldo's
from
mainstream.
everyone. Yes, it's social media.
Sure.
So social media is now the mainstream.
Okay.
That is the new. It is.
Oh, fine. So you're saying the more followers you have, the more mainstream
Correct.
you are. Okay,
yeah.
fair enough. Sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I just meant though that like there is someone out there that has 10 million Instagram followers that you've never heard of in your life. Right?
No, but the youth have probably heard of him.
Sure, but
Or
my point
her.
is, but mainstream. We were just discussing like mainstream means like everyone, like even your grandmother would know them, right?
I mean,
Like if you said Ronaldo, my grandmother would be like, I think he's a soccer player.
maybe.
Okay.
I don't know if my mom would know who Ronaldo was. You know what I mean?
She might. We should call her right now. Put her on speaker.
Put her on the phone.
Yeah.
Is that it for Dave?
You all know what I mean. We can say it. Can't describe it, but
Yeah.
I know what it is when I
Sure.
see it. Yeah, I give it a 3.5.
Yeah, I'll give it a 3.5. I like that.
I'll also give it a 3.5.
Holy fuck. We have an agreement. These fucking assholes. Fuck you, you cunts. Come on, our last one of the week.
You know when you lose a bet and then you're like looking at it, like
Why did I do this?
trying to will it to change.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
To have them come back and take 3 points off. That they.
Fucking gross.
That happens sometimes.
Well, I'm wishing for. I said under 45 and there's 47 points. 1966.
The other night, I picked Podol for something. It gave me the check mark, took the check mark away, and then gave the check mark back.
Oh no, so that's just yeah. I mean, that's just the app having trouble. Like sometimes too, what'll happen is they'll give a guy a steal
That and then
or
took
a
it away,
rebound,
yeah.
and then they go like 3-pointers happens all the time.
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why
But that-
they
not
can
in
take it
football.
away. Oh, well.
Like the other night, I watched Gary hit what they called a 3, but I'm watching the game and I see that his foot is clearly on the line. And the score is even, they've given him the 3. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, I know this is coming back. And 2 minutes later, they're like, they've amended Gary.
Yeah.
I'm like, fucking cunt.
2066, Ralph Barbosa. I just realized I was watching the game. Think I still have a chance, even though I've already
No, it's
lost.
over.
He seemed like a nice guy. I've seen his comedy before. It's okay.
Comedy, be funny, say something.
But this episode didn't have a lot of
Well, I think
juice to it.
I think
as
it's
the
interesting.
kids say.
I think it's interesting that he's not like he's talked about getting after it more than people would say. Oh, working hard writing, but he's doing mushrooms at shows, getting lit up. He is picking fights, or not picking fights, but prepared to throw down, which Joe didn't want him to fight anymore.
He seemed like
he's reckless.
antithesis of Matt Rife.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They're like,
Yeah.
His favorites are Chappelle and Mitch Hedberg.
Yeah.
Like I hope that doesn't happen to him, but he could be a wild child. I think he's 27, so it's sort of condescending to call
you
him a
hope that
child.
Chappelle's career doesn't happen to him. I think he hopes that it does.
No, Mitch Hedberg's
Well,
career doesn't
yeah,
happen.
everybody kind of hopes that.
Well, no, you want the career. You don't want to then overdose.
To him.
Like people
The
would
path,
take.
That
the path.
too.
Yeah, people would take Mitch Hedberg's career.
Well, I don't know. I think he was working, but he wasn't getting he blew up bigger after his passing than. Same with Patrice. Patrice was just there, I guess.
Yeah, but with Mitch Hedberg, like you could argue, like, well, he wasn't doing everything he could. He was high on heroin. Patrice was just a detriment to his own fucking career.
I mean, but they were on TV. They
Yeah.
were more, but in their realm, they had not achieved whatever they wanted to be as being popular, which I think it was propaganda, the sitcom. The idea that you
have to be
tell
on a sitcom,
jokes
yeah.
and your life is so interesting, you get on TV, like that was a mainstream as you could be.
But that was chasing the money.
And there were still shows that didn't come from
Stand up.
one person. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, look at Friends. None of those people were famous when that show started.
No, but he's talking about like if you were a comedian, the goal was the Tim Allen.
Right,
The goal was
sure.
like
It was the model.
Because again, you weren't going to make a ton of money doing stand up. You could make enough to live, but you weren't going to become rich. Whereas nowadays, you can definitely become rich just doing stand
And
up.
that's just translated into hosting game shows because that's what you do now if you're a comedian, but you're not making enough money.
Game show
Yeah.
/ reality show.
Right. Yeah.
Reality changed the television landscape.
Yeah,
I fell into watching this show called Snake Oil with
David Spade.
David Spade and getting sucked into it and having to write it out. I thought I'd say this is stupid. Like The Masked Singer
Yeah, that's the dumbest shit ever.
is the dumbest thing ever. I've only seen commercials.
That's even below what I'll go to.
Oh, is it the Masked
I
Singer
don't like.
stoops to
I
love
don't
for
like
you?
the singing ones.
Yeah, but
I'm
you
proud
don't
of
like
you.
music.
Scrappy Ralph was
I don't like the music they're singing on those shows.
There we
Matt.
go.
That's
Well,
for sure.
There you go.
Scrappy Ralph was talking about fighting or a dust up in Colorado, and that's one thing there's in Canada: Christmas fighting or just winter fighting.
Yeah.
That is really a
Oh, it's
a
dicey.
coin toss.
Yeah.
Well,
in
you-
the
You can knock
world, 'cause
yourself out.
The slip, the fall, or the snowbank.
I mean, everybody had
cushion.
to learn how to fight on ice. So,
Yeah, that's true too.
you know, that's why you pull the shirt over the head right away.
Yeah.
You use it as stability as you feed them.
Maybe it gives us an edge. Clubs in malls. Have you ever gone to a club in a mall?
No.
It's just
A comedy club?
yeah.
No, I don't think so.
This is the thing. As a comic, you have to be on the road, and it's anything goes. I don't pick and choose where I'm performing. So
Yeah, if it's a dry cleaner in Hamilton, that's where it is. Or if it's a general store in fucking Napanee, that's what we got to do.
when Joe talks about the exclusive private bar to build a sense of community, like bring us your bring us your weary.
I love too how he didn't
He's
understand.
so out of touch. It's insane.
Well, he also couldn't. He didn't understand like guys who were getting work before, but then when all the heavy hitters showed up.
Well, no, yeah, he did talk about that though.
No, but yeah, but he was like, "Suck it up. It's gonna be good for you, you pussies." Like, dude, I can see why. Like, if you were just a fucking guy, like Kamar, imagine if fucking 15 of the world's best comedians moved to Ottawa tomorrow, and you would be slightly pissed that you were getting
Well,
less.
I don't know if I would be. It'd be meaning there's an opportunity here. Like,
Yeah.
did
But you
say
can
that.
understand why some people would, right? People that lost their spots.
I don't think he understands how hard it is to get into his club.
Yeah,
Or I
he
guess
doesn't.
he does, or just he can't be that involved in the day to day, right?
No.
He comes in, everything just works, clockwork. There's never any problems.
And if there's a
Mr.
problem,
Rogan.
he says change it, and they immediately do.
I'm sure there'll be times where he'll go to Adam and be like, "Hey, I saw this. I've seen a lot of this guy's clips. Why hasn't he been here yet?" Maybe that sort of thing.
I think Ralph asked him
Probably.
if he could just go back to normal life. He's like, yeah, no problem. I mean, not that would be no money or something. To be famous and then not to be famous. I do think Joe could transition that fine. Where other people like live for fame and then chase it.
But I think they both have, like, Joe has many interests that could make him money outside of this. And it sounded like Ralphie, it sounded like he was like he wanted to paint cars. Like, he sounded into that.
Well, that's if that's what he would like to do.
And that's
Still,
what I'm- yeah, that's what I
which
was
is
saying.
very interesting.
Yeah.
Just about having a passion. If you're having to engage with social media, that's sort of a sign of fame. It's like a humble brag.
that you have to do it.
Having a discussion of taking the good and the bad and fighting with people online.
Well,
like,
or if you're making your living on Instagram, then that's part of your job, right?
Yeah. I think what Kamar's saying, though, is like to be in the position where you're like, well, I have to engage with these people because I make money off it.
or
It
I'm
is-
choosing not to engage with these people.
Yeah.
The fact that you have these people, I don't know. It's not a bad thing to have if you want to be successful.
It's a good problem.
Well, it's kind of like when Joe always says, "Oh, don't read the comments."
Yeah.
Well, in order to like talk to your fans, you have to read the comments. I guess you could just
yeah, what Joe
filter out the shitty ones.
No, you're right. What Joe doesn't realize is that most people striving to get to Joe's level, you have to spend a lot of years reading the comments,
Joe
engaging with people. Yeah,
because he got fucking
Brian to do it.
and then
No, but
then he was too big to fail. So
You're forgetting that those-
he's like the banks.
But you're also forgetting that those first like 100 episodes, Simon, they had that live chat shit that you could go in. And again, it was just Brian dealing with it. It wasn't Joe. So
No, that's true. Joe is like the big banks of comedy.
yeah, he's big comedy.
He's too big to fail.
Yeah.
He's mainstream.
He's big comedy.
I don't know if you noticed, but it seems like the Your Mom's House, Two Bears of Cave, the whole thing's crumbling under its weight of success.
There is a lot going on right now.
We'll talk
in the
about that in the
comedy
post-show,
world.
though.
Post-show. I'm gonna write comedy.
They talked about
world.
religious translations.
Right, robot artists, too.
The book was the Immortality Key,
Yeah, by Brian Murray-Asker.
and the Catholic Church bought the book out.
Yeah.
I think Joe said that. And check that if that's true. But that's a major red flag when some entity.
Yeah, we're going to buy every
buys
copy.
all the
No,
copies.
every copy.
Anyway,
But what about
It's
reprints?
probably
Those
what they
two?
did with the Bible, right? Like at first, the Bible was this super righteous book with the real word of God, and then the church came in, bought out all the copies of the Bible, and redistributed the King George Bible, which is a new
Progress,
version
technology,
of the Bible.
propaganda.
That's right.
Propaganda.
You don't need to read on animal skins anymore. We got parchment paper.
because that was one of the coolest bands in school, right?
You wanted to do parchment
Propaganda.
propaganda. The band.
Yeah.
That's what he was saying, yeah.
So, were they a good band?
I thought they were cool. They were punk pop, whatever. He has a list of hotels that he goes to that chooses the artwork so he can just trip out in the hotel.
I like that.
I think this guy's rock and roll right now.
I mean, he sounds like he's having fun.
He seemed real genuine.
And just
Seems like he's having fun.
skipped being he went from hosting and spots to headlining, and he acknowledged that. I wish I had been a barber sometimes.
A barber.
Why is
I
that?
don't think I could be. Because kind of like I don't think I could do a tattoo. I don't like the pressure of something like that would fuck somebody up so bad.
But
I mean, a
you-
haircut's way different.
And you do it
It
so
is
much,
and it
you
isn't.
get good
People
at
are
it.
pretty fucking crazy about their hair, man. Like
I
you
understand,
fuck up
but
somebody's hair.
you fuck up a tattoo, it's
If you,
100x worse.
if you cut hair for 5 years, you become an expert and you have confidence in your skills and also feel good every time you gave someone a dope cut or whatever. And if you had good relationships, it's something that I could see have done in my life.
Yep.
Like
You should have.
if your clientele is friends, you know, or just people you know, that thing. But it's not, I don't think it's advertised as a job when you're in school or thought of a profession.
My daughter's a hairdresser.
Oh, boom, there it is.
Boom, there it is.
She went to school for it.
Well, boom, there it is.
He got success from doing sets in a clean comedy only room. It's like when you put the restraints on, you have to fight through them and it's better.
I think doing clean comedy is probably a great tool for comedians to use that they never use. Like Joe said, it's a good way to like flex that muscle of not being able to like be crude or use
100%.
swear words as a sequitur or is that right? A sequitur?
No, you don't
No.
really use swear words as
As a like a
crutch.
well, no, just how you get to like the next sentence, you know? What do you call that?
Segue.
Segue.
Subway.
Thank you.
Okay. I just don't know a lot of people that use fuck to get to the next sentence.
They do. Watch
Okay.
it sometime.
And some people want someone to swear and not do clean. Some people doesn't want clean comedy.
I watch Nate Bargatze all the time.
The best.
And there is not one point where I'm like, well, fuck, I wish he would have swore there. I wish he would have talked. Like his shit is just super entertaining and funny, and you never...
Yeah, but there's a difference too. Like if you were to see Chappelle do a clean set, it would bother you. But Nate Bargatze is a clean comedian, so it doesn't bother you. You'd never think about it.
I mean, maybe I wouldn't if the jokes were funny enough.
And you'll see people's eyes, like if you say fuck. Like some people are not ready to be sworn out. Other people
Yeah, well,
are,
those people shouldn't be out. Go home, fuck.
Just kill them
Get
all.
out of here, you fucking pussy.
I think he might have said Joey Diaz gets cheap laughs, but he still says he's his number one favorite.
Who's your number one favorite, Kumar?
I think Jim Florentine.
Is your favorite comedian?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, because he's super funny and he's really blue collar. Like he's not a jerk, and no one has a bad thing to say about him.
I don't think I could give you a favorite, but I could give you like a top 5 probably. In that top 5, one that you wouldn't expect, Gary Goldman.
No, I would totally have expected you to put Gary Goldman
There
in
you
there.
go.
Gary Goldman's great.
Amazing.
Yeah. And that's such an interesting thing is he's so
Also
skilled and good. I don't know if he's rich. I'm sure he can't complain, but
I bet he's doing fine.
How much do you think Gary Goldman is worth?
$1 million.
$1 million.
Whoa. Interesting.
How much do you think Ralph Barbosa is worth?
Not $1 million.
$1 million. No,
You
probably not.
don't think Netflix gave him a bunch of cash for his special?
I bet it's not $1 million. It's probably 50 minutes for like $250,000. I mean,
I'm going to check, so just hold on. Gary Goldman is worth... Oh, my God. Why isn't it telling me?
Oh, if it's not telling you, it's less than $1 million.
700,000.
Yep.
Gary Goldman.
Yep.
Yeah. And who was the...
Ralph Barbosa.
Ralph. Keep on call him Nate. That's
I mean, also Gary Goldman's a real prick, though, isn't he? Like in real life.
his
every
friends
comedian's a
like
prick.
him,
No, but I'm just
and
saying-
the other comedians don't.
Okay.
Did you miss Bill Hicks?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was too young.
Yeah. I wish he was around today.
I came in like my dad. I remember my dad watching Dice and Eddie Murphy when I was a kid. So like that's the era where I started to understand what comedy was.
But they're still around
Yeah.
today.
Well, Bill Hicks died.
Oh no, sorry, Bill Hicks died. I wish he, because George Burns, I always think about him. Like,
He's incredible.
I was
He's
a
fucking
young
incredible.
kid and he was 90 years old, but he was a comedian the whole way.
Yeah.
Ralph could be a comedian. Like, you know what I mean? Is when you're 60 years old, he could be just having 8 kids or whatever he does. He talked about he can't be worth that much because he hasn't bought his big bling necklace yet. But he said he wanted to get one to flex the ego.
Yeah.
And Joe was like, "Got on eagle." So
Yeah.
the ego,
I know.
the ego.
Between 1 and 5 million.
That's a pretty big berth. That's a wide berth.
And you think Gary Goldman should be worth more?
Way more.
Exactly.
I mean, I would have imagined that Goldman would have been worth like 7 mil, but maybe I just looked at a bad
From what though?
from his writing credits, and he's worked in a lot of writing rooms.
I don't know if that gets you that paid.
No, I guess not. We're gonna-
But it's more the thing, like it isn't the work put in necessarily, and the product isn't necessarily indicative of the reward.
I'm well aware of that. I'm not that dude. Listen, there's people.
I
That have put
marvel
in,
at it, like-
there's people that have put in 30 years doing like insane sets that no one's heard of and that aren't rich. Doesn't mean they're not incredible comedians who haven't put in their dues. I'm
Gary
not.
Goldman is worth 7 mil. I'm sorry, Matthew.
Whoa!
That's a pretty
breaking
big
news.
change.
He
Yeah,
just
big
made a
change.
Wait a
bunch
minute.
of
Wait a
money.
minute. Hold on.
Big
I want to get this straight. You said right there, I would have thought he was worth 7 million.
And then I looked
and
and
then
it
you
was 7
Googled it.
million.
And okay. Yeah. Wow.
Well, do you want to see?
Fucking
How
Gary's
do you
publicist over here.
$6 million in
Gary's
5
average
minutes.
net worth is 7 million. Boom.
Okay, there we go. That everything makes sense.
Oh,
Our
this
whole
one
discussion's
says
out the window.
1.5. Like, I don't know what to tell you. That one said 700.
Would
Okay,
you
well,
be
let's go with
confident
It's a
1.5.
whole
driving
range.
to the club in the Batmobile to pick up a girl?
Of course.
Okay. Well,
You're definitely leaving with
If
someone.
you have enough money to afford the Batmobile, then you feel good about driving the Batmobile.
Yeah.
I, who have like no money, would feel like an asshole.
Oh, you're saying like if you won the Batmobile
When you're
tomorrow,
27?
And I
you
didn't
would sell it?
No,
for
no, no.
dollars.
You're 27.
Or
You're
if
27.
I spent money I didn't have on a Batmobile.
You're 27.
No,
that
I like
makes
this.
me
Let's
an
play this game.
asshole.
You're 25. You win the Batmobile.
I win the Batmobile. I'm
Yeah.
25 years old.
Yeah.
I sell the Batmobile.
Interesting.
1,000%.
You're 27 years old.
I take that Batmobile and I translate that Batmobile into drugs.
Okay, fine.
Did
How
not
about
see that turn
okay?
down.
How about this? Right now, you win a luxury Mercedes Benz.
Oh, I 100% sell that bet. I'm perfectly happy with my 2010 Volvo. You know what I mean?
I mean, the interior is really holding up well.
I have no problem with it.
I know. Oh, I know. You
I
could
don't
live
need.
in squalor.
I don't need a
assume.
lot to get by.
Yeah. I assume that if Halima wasn't in your life, you would be in a room with. I want to venture to piss jug, but you've given him so much.
No, I would never
But
use a
definitely
piss jug.
full ashtrays all over the place.
No,
like,
I would,
oh no,
I mean,
100
yeah,
ash
yeah.
everywhere.
No,
like
no,
ash,
I wouldn't.
absolutely everywhere.
I wouldn't. Yeah, it would be bad. It would be bad.
Yeah, I can imagine. God bless you, Halima.
I went out of my way to find Halima. So,
Like when she posted that thing from the King of Queens,
what did she post?
that there's a scene from King of Queens where Kevin James is like, "Where are the scissors?" And Leah Remini is like, "Fucking 15 years we've lived together. The scissors have always been in the same fucking place. They've never moved. I always have to tell you where they are. Why is it like this?" And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, she lives with Simon."
Oh, like you were just out there finding scissors.
No, I mean, I still ask Mary. This is the thing. Mary likes to move things every week. She'll be like, "I don't like the feng shui." So all of a sudden the scissors are in a different place. I assume the scissors are in the same place in your house every time. In your studio on a rolling tray.
Probably. Yeah. Probably.
The funny story. Obviously there's a tragic ending, but
Are we still in the episode?
Yeah, Ralph
Oh,
Barbosa.
fucking
Yeah.
wrap it up.
Freddie Prinze Jr. saying he's gonna kill Travolta.
Yeah, that's
They
great.
left out the 10 kilograms of cocaine they had stored.
Yeah.
3 days up, and I've got to take this guy out.
That was Freddie Prinze,
yeah,
not Junior.
Freddie Prinze,
Yeah, Freddie Prinze Jr. is his son, the actor.
Is the
It
guy
was
from
Freddie Prinze.
Scooby-Doo,
Yeah.
right?
not
Yeah.
as funny.
Oh, you thought it was Freddie Prinze Jr.?
No, I didn't know what I was
I don't
thinking.
even
I was
think
just
he was
thinking,
alive when Travolta did.
Jimmy Walker
Saturday
said
Night
he said
Fever.
we got to kill Travolta. In one context, it just sounds like he's a madman, but on cocaine, it's like, of course, he'd be like, I've got to kill this guy. I'm the best.
It's true. If you read that transcript in the court, I would get my lawyer to stand up and be like, "Can we express to the jury that this was cocaine fueled and maybe change the?"
Yeah. Wealth, he wants to go to the moon, which is just crazy. But yeah, good guy. He's
well, Joe wants to hunt on Mars, so it's a fucking relationship made in heaven.
done the work. I thought he was a bit bitty. A bit bitty.
What does that mean?
I didn't notice
bit-
any
A
bits.
bit bitty.
Oh, a bit bitty. I
No.
see what you're.
I thought he did pretty well
I
for
thought
such
he was
like
a
a
bit
young
bitty.
dude.
I thought he was a bit bitty. He was a bit bitty.
Considering he called it at the start that he would have nothing to talk about.
He's a bit bitty.
It's a bit bitty. I'll give it a. I'll still give him a 3.
I give it a 3.
I
It was
will
listen.
not give
Okay, you
this
don't
a
have to.
3.
We don't give a fuck what
I
you
will
give it.
give it a 2.
All right. Well, that's an
bit bitty.
episode. That is an episode. If you made it this far, thank you so much. Maybe, just maybe, you're willing to go a bit further. We do have a Patreon. If you want to support the show, you can do so for as little as $5 a month. Head over to patreon.com/JREE podcast. For that $5 a month, you will get the post show. It's the show of the show we shoot the shit. You'll also get old episodes of other stuff we did. Who gives a fuck? Whatever. That's it. That's a show. Oh, we hope all our American listeners had a great Thanksgiving. We didn't mention it last week. at
Gobble,
all.
gobble.
We hope you guys were safe out there. We hope you didn't kill anyone for a flat screen television. And that's it. Have a great week. Enjoy your weekend. And as usual,
Bit bitty. I mean, keep your eyes open.